Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives. Hello there, good morning and welcome to Morning Dew on Dott Television. We are happy to have you again on the program where we have opportunity to walk you through the newspaper headlines. Of course, going to have the news update. After then, sports beat, and then business, of course, will come. All of them, we hope to have two guests, bring them your way to discuss issues that are current in the nation. Of course, I'm not alone. My name is Henry Uzo, and I'm here with Success. Benjamin.
Good morning. Rise and shine, your day just got brightened. Welcome to Dott TV, where we'll bring you topical stories and headlines across the globe. I am Success Benjamin.
All right. Also, we're happy to have you back, Ify.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be back. This is Morning Dew. And of course, what we do is to help you navigate the day and, of course, the new week. So happy new week to you. Welcome to the program. I am Ify Aaron.
Yes, the weekend, a lot happened at the weekend. Permit me, I always talk about football because it's exciting for me. First was the fact that out of the 10 African countries that qualified for the World Cup, 9 qualified for the second round. But just yesterday, South Africa could not make it to the next round. They were knocked out by one of the hosts, Canada. I don't know how you feel about it.
And how are you feeling about it?
Well, I feel good because, of course, time passed, we could have only 4 teams from Africa. And first round, all of them will be knocked out. But this time, out of 10, 9 of them is a sign that Africa football is
doing well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It shows as well, even though the giant of Africa is not there on the world
I
stage.
don't think we're giant in terms of football now as it
presently,
stands.
we find that Africa is still holding its own globally when it comes to sports and especially football. So we're wishing all the teams that have qualified for the next round success. We hope that they get to the very next stage as well, and that Africa carries the cup at the end of the day. It's possible.
That would be a wonderful thing. All things are possible with them that believe.
Possible.
We are all believers here. Of course, that's how we start off on Morning Dew this morning.
There's something I wanted to ask, because I was in Abuja, and when I introduced myself and said that I'm from Dott TV, Asaba, Delta State, the applause was huge.
Excuse me?
Yes, it was huge. Everyone was clapping. They almost gave me a standing ovation. So I wanted to know, what is that unique thing about Asaba, Delta State, that when you mention
Asaba?
Yes, sincerely, the applause. My co-anchor in fact, he said he hopes to get such an applause, but he didn't get it.
He didn't get it.
It just, yes.
Yes,
so,
okay.
I'm new in Asaba.
If I'm going to say
right.
something there, I would say that Asaba, one, has become a safe haven for investors. Of course, we all know that in terms of Nollywood activities, Asaba has become their home. The roads are tarred, some of them in quiet places that they can shoot their films without any kind of disturbance. And then 2, there is this general notion that there's money in Asaba. That when you come into Asaba, whatever little thing you do, you're going to make money. That's all I can say. But then,
But is that true?
For Dott TV, yes, to some extent it's true.
Okay.
Because I remember one day I went to buy plantain, and the woman gave me plantain and said it's 3.5. I said, for this number, why? I say, I'll go buy. There's money in Asaba. I say, is that so?
Even on the street.
Even on the street. So that's how it is. Then, of course, for Dott TV, I remember I got a call from Abuja and said, you guys have the best sound. Me, I'm not a sound mind in terms of electronics, but that's what he told me. He said, I watch people on TV and you have the best sound. Well, that does it for us.
Absolutely.
Let's hope that we come up in other areas.
Yes.
At least I have beautiful ladies that are
big up to
the program.
Asaba, Delta State.
Big
Let's
up to
keep
Asaba.
the fire burning.
Big
the
up
world
also.
is
Big up
watching.
to Dott
Big up to
TV.
Dott TV. Yeah.
Well.
You almost missed out there. All right. We'll come back and then we'll continue with Morning Dew. Of course, we'll be going straight to the news update. Stay with us. Wake up with us every morning.
will bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives. You're welcome back. Of course, we are continuing with news update and, of course, success. How's the stories?
Welcome to News Updates on Dott Television. The Nigerian Democratic Congress has accused the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) for failing to provide the access code needed to upload its candidates' details to the Commission's nomination portal for the 2027 general elections. The party's national spokesman, OSA director, said the NDC had formally requested the access credentials from INEC but is yet to receive them. He maintained that the party's inability to submit its candidates should not be seen as its own failure, insisting that the delay was caused by the Commission's refusal to provide the required access code. OSI director added that the party would make another request to INEC while also pursuing legal actions over the court judgment related to the matter. Now, Shomole, the former governor of Edo State, governor and senator representing Edo North, Adams Shomole, has endorsed the proposal by Governor Monday Okpewolo's administration to impose the death penalty on convicted kidnappers and bandits. Oshomole said security and civil liberties had improved under the current administration, adding that only criminals should have reason to fear the state. According to a statement by the chief press secretary to the governor, Patrick Ebojele, the senator made the remarks while addressing APC supporters at the flag-off of the Edo North Senatorial District local government election campaign in Aushi, Esako West local government area. Governor Kwewolo and Senator Oshomole also urged residents to support APC candidates in the next month's local government elections. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission (FCCPC) has raised concerns over the continued high price of petrol at filling stations across Nigeria. In a statement on Sunday, the Executive Vice Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the Commission, Tunji Bello, said fuel marketers were quick to increase pump prices when global crude oil prices rose, but have been slow to reduce prices despite the recent drop in crude oil prices following the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. The Commission acknowledged that local fuel prices are affected by factors such as refining costs, foreign exchange rates, transportation financing, and distribution expenses. However, he said consumers should benefit promptly from any reduction in operating costs through competitive market pricing. The FCCPC also urged Nigerians to report suspected anti-competitive practices, misleading pricing, and other unfair market behavior through its official complaint channels. Now on sports, Manchester United have confirmed that midfielder Manuel Ugarte sustained a knee ligament injury while playing for Uruguay in Friday's FIFA World Cup group stage defeat to Spain in Guadalajara. Ugarte was stretched off after twisting his knee during a tackle in the build-up to Spain's winning goal, raising concerns over the seriousness of the injury. Initial reports from the Uruguay camp suggest the midfielder may have suffered a cruciate ligament injury which could keep him out of several months. However, Manchester United are awaiting the results of their own medical assessment before confirming the full extent of the injury. The setback comes at a crucial stage in Ugarte's United career. The Uruguayan midfielder joined the club from Paris Saint-Germain for £50.8 million in 2024 and has been working to establish himself at Old Trafford. Manchester United have wished Ugarte a speedy recovery. Now, on the foreign scene, 11 people have been confirmed dead after a civilian aircraft carrying 10 skydivers crashed near the eastern French town of Tamlane on Sunday. The victims included the pilot, 5 students, skydivers, and 5 instructors. The aircraft, operated by a parachuting school, had taken off from Nancy Esser Airfield before crashing shortly after departure. Authorities have urged members of the public to avoid the area around the crash site in the northern Moselle department as emergency responders continued their work. French Transport Minister Philippe Tabard described the incident as terrible tragedy and said he, alongside Interior Minister Laurent Nunez, was traveling to the scene. Officials confirmed that no bystanders were injured in the crash. And that's it on the news update on Dott TV.
Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives. Welcome back. Straight to the papers for today. And of course, we bring you the headlines on the papers. Starting with the Pointer newspaper. We have APC disowns list of purported primaries winners. Says it's fake. And of course, my administration's achievements made possible by God, says Oboriwori. All that from the Pointer newspaper.
And on a business day, corporate Nigerian races to beat June 30 invoicing deadline and sanctions. And that's all for the business day.
And now to Daily Trust, where we have the major headline: How Gang Mothered Benue Mieti Allah Chair Friend. And above the masthead, petrol price still high, says FCCPC. We also have on Daily Trust, Osun CSO suspend protests, give IGP 72 hours to redeploy police commissioner. These are the topical ones on Daily Trust.
And to the Nigerian Tribune, concerns over high cost of petrol. Also, we have here Providence Unity Bank set to commence operations as one unified institution. Operation Kyosaye Ogun local government held police onslaught against criminals. Osun CSO suspends protest, give IGP 72 hours to redeploy police commissioner. Ogun links Ijebu Ode gas emissions to geological fault line. Sound Olu Bode George honored Herbert Macaulay 80 years after. And that's it on Nigerian Tribune.
All right, next is the Daily Times. And of course, we have the FCCPC warns oil marketers, threatens sanctions over pump price exploitation. And of course, above the masthead, we have troops foil terrorist attack, recover arms at Benue Yam Markets. That's on the, and of course, down there in the paper, we have INEC allegedly denies NDC access code to upload the candidates' names.
The topical stories on The Guardian are as follows. 58 insurers race against time to meet recapitalization deadline. That's on page 6. And just below the masthead, Senate defends state police bill as child of necessity. INEC releases access codes today as APC rejects fake list of candidates. That's the political story on the front page of The Guardian. And NIMET workers to ground aviation activities over unpaid dues. We have this headline on health. Doctors give federal government fresh 4-week deadline over unpaid allowances. And still on health, I believe this will interest Henry. Only 25% of men have healthy sperm, and that's according to reports.
And here to the nation this morning, we have Senate House Police Bill version differs. And we have on the top line, troops kill 2 local Rawa terrorists in hideouts. Investors realign portfolios ahead of second quarter results. And we have here say federal government Benue to fish out Magban leaders killers. Lagos assume float operation Kosayo to word of kidnappers. And that's it on the nation.
All right. Next is the Punch. And of course, Obi Kwankwaso lead NDC's battle against deregistration. Obi Kwankwaso Dixon in marathon meetings as NDC files appeal today. Above the masthead, we have 5-month crude exports fetch Nigeria 20 trillion naira, plenty of money. Then 1.4 million Nigerians denied UK visa in 21 years. That's what we have in the Punch newspaper.
And now let's quickly add what we have on Daily Sun. The major headline reads, anxiety grows in opposition camps. Options for Atiku, Obi, others narrow over parties' legal battles, and Nigeria's democratic institutions getting weaker. That's a warning from Bode George. Beside the masthead, Anglican Church raises the alarm over terrorists hiding in Southeast Forest. And CBN's terror financing crackdown raises compliance burden for banks. That's coming from BDCs. These are the topical ones on Daily Sun this morning.
Yes, I would like to, before we go on break, I would like to respond to what you said. Actually, I've always known that in modern times, issues of infertility in marriage, 70% problem is with the men. That's the truth. But you see, we have this habit of believing that because we have erection in quotes, there's nothing wrong with us. But you know, because of the jobs we do, because of our dispositions, sometimes promiscuity, you find that men have major issues with fertility. Well, I'm not a doctor, but I've always preached it because most men, when you tell them if they are having issues with conception, they say, no, I'm okay. The woman should. And then the family of the man are always bothering the woman. We have to have a change of attitude. If you are a couple, go for a test. I'm not a doctor. You're having issues for conception.
I want to believe it's always the African thing.
Yes,
when
it's
it
a
happens,
mentality.
They always believe the woman is
the problem.
Always the one with the problem. So the men don't believe
a man is living with his fellow man.
Exactly.
Such things.
Absolutely.
All right. We believe that as we go on, we get wiser. If there's issues of infertility, please, both man and wife, go for a check. It is the laughs that will tell you the true story. We'll go on another break. When we come back, we are going to be looking at important headlines in the paper, the things that make issue, and see how we can judge on them. And then, of course, we'll make progress. Thank you for staying with us. Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives. You're welcome back. We are going to go straight into the issues that made the headlines. Of course, the first one we are looking at here is this omens of lease. We were told, and in fact, you read in one of the papers, I can't remember which, that what is it access to this portal will be open today. Yes. And then now there are some people in APC that are saying that the list, especially which it was on the Delta newspaper, that the list sent is a fake list.
Yes.
Yeah, let's speak to that.
You know, this is the age of social media, and a lot of things go wrong when we focus on of course, the focus is on politics right now. And you find that we have a timetable. We're working with the INEC timetable. A lot of things can go wrong in an instant because the social media is always there to propagate sometimes falsehood. So misinformation can be pushed out. And then now the APC is racing to try and see how it can manage the situation. But the portal is already open. The access codes are there. So we are hoping that the right things will be done today. Perhaps the right list should also be propagated more. It is necessary because then people can, place them side by side. These things were not done in the secret. People knew when these primaries were conducted.
Okay.
So it is.
And people were there.
Yes, people were there. So they are witnesses. We shouldn't be at this point at this time, but that is what the social media has done. So we should even preempt that these kinds of things will happen and see how to
success. When they had their primaries, we had a lot of drama. First of all, results were announced. People who were there were excited. And then, of course, news came from Abuja that no results should be announced. All results should only be announced from Abuja. Now we are hearing about fake lists. What do you say to that?
I think the INEC should have response to this. I think the INEC is in the best
think it's the problem of parties.
Yes, it's an internal party issue because the party
internal
conducts
party
the
issues,
primaries. That is why I said that when you are slow to do the right thing, the social media, people can take advantage of the fact that the social media is there to propagate falsehood, and now you're having to defend yourself. But if the party had a timetable about how they intend to run, when their results will be out in the open, I'm sure that we wouldn't be here right now. So the INEC has a timetable. You as a party, you don't have a timetable to run your internal democracy. That means that there are issues, internally, which must be, they must troubleshoot it.
We're going to continue with the analysis from the headlines. We just take a break and then we continue. Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives.
Dott Entertainment, your weekly dose of pure fun, airing every Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Saturdays, 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. only on Dott TV.
We impose extra burden on the masses. I feel your pain.
Only humility will lead us to unity, and unity will lead us to peace.
Go to the market and sell your products.
Everton. That is a massive world record. Martinelli goes, boys, out of his goal. Martinelli, this will be 3 for Arsenal.
In the heart of Asaba, where the street tells the stories every single day.
From the corridors of powers to the decisions shaping governance and politics in Delta and Nigeria.
From traders counting every naira to families battling rising costs and uncertain times.
From football pitches to sporting successes to the major developments making the headlines all over the world.
And from the untold human stories, the struggles, victories, resilience, and hope of the everyday Nigerians.
This is the news beyond the headlines. Dott TV News are your trusted window to stories that truly matter to the people. Here, we don't just report events, we tell the human stories behind them.
Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives. You're welcome back. We continue with the analysis of headlines in the papers. And of course, we have to join us an analyst in Godfrey Obaka to do justice to the issues arising. You're welcome.
Thank you so very much. I observe the Morning Dew is playing a full squad this morning.
Yes, it's a bloated house, and we're happy for it.
Great morning.
We are blessed in the midst of we are blessed in the midst of these women.
I enjoyed your perspective on fertility and.
But it's true. But it's true. That's the truth.
Okay.
All right. We go forward to the implementation of the INEC timetable. On Friday, access codes were to be given to the parties. Then, of course, the portal was supposed to be open. But now, we're seeing a kind of argument. What do we call it now? They are clashing over the implementation. Now, what we have, 2027 timeline, INEC parties clash over access codes for candidates upload. What is really happening?
Yeah, it's a moment of trial, as it were. Some other person will want to say travail of Nigerian democracy.
Okay.
Coming at such a point where we expect that our democratic institutions should be up and doing in the game, and that the issues of democracy should be more crystallized to the ordinary man out there. But it does appear as if democracy in Nigeria is under trial. Very serious trial. And it does appear that the opposition, are not finding it easy to breathe. The people who are talking of access code are essentially the opposition party. And as you are here in the studio doing your analysis and news presentation, the leadership of NDC is at the court, trying to see how the issue of registration of the party will not hold. And I think arising from that, the likes of the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has come up to say that now, with the issue of NDC, we can see that the true color of our president, who presumably is expected to be a Democrat, that his true color is coming out.
Yeah.
Here was a man who was in the trenches in the days of the Nadeku.
Yeah.
And here is a man who is now at the head of the symbol of Nigerian democracy.
Yeah.
But from the facts that are unfolding, and rather fast too, and in a worrisome dimension and pace, we are beginning to see that some persons have said Nigeria is walking steadily towards a one-party state.
Well, one-party state, but let me come from this angle. For instance, the parties are talking about the issue of don't deregister us. We had that issue before with ADC and other parties who were threatened with the registration until the Apex Court, Appeal Court,
Yes.
Appeal Court intervened in the matter and gave an injunction.
Yes.
Now,
while all that is
NDC
going on, all that is going on,
yes,
time is being lost. Our campaigns are supposed to start by September 9, thereabout. And do not forget that one of the principal actors in the whole of this, in the person of Peter Obi, came out at the weekend to say that the federal government is working tirelessly to see that his name is not in the ballot. And ADC started having their issue while Obi was there. And today, he and Kwakwanso left for NDC, where we have seen the rise of a statesman who is currently a senator, who was a two-time governor of Bayelsa State in the person of Seriki Dixon. You know, circumstances lead to rise of statesmen and Democrats. They are tested by circumstances such as we have currently in Nigeria. And they had to move to the NDC. And now, a court had said that NDC was to be recognized, should be registered. Now, a group has come, you understand, saying that they are the peace movement group, and that is their logo. How integral is the issue of logo in terms of party ideology and manifesto? Why growing up, parties were known by their manifestos?
That's right.
UPN, NPN, NPP, GNPP, PRP in those days, and not by something as minute as logo. If that is the issue, the logo can be changed. Now, the registering, the recognizing a party that just a few months to campaign is like putting wheels in the spanner, and it's not healthy for democratic growth.
With all that is going on,
I don't know. What do you say to all these things? Because it doesn't tell good of us. People have cried that there's an attempt to ensure that we are drifting towards a one-party state. How ready is Nigeria for a one-party state? It was tried in the past. Did it work?
Ready?
In the time
you are talking about Abacha. No. Abacha maxed his. Abacha maxed his. So it was described as the 5 fingers of a leprous man by using proses.
Yes.
And we are seeing a replay of that because history has its own very uncanny way of repeating itself. Especially if people do not learn from the lessons of history. And that was why when Abacha left the scene the way he did, it was like a jubilation all over the place. And I can imagine the professional frustration of the likes of Sunday Diary at the weekend, talking about that in the forthcoming election, that Obi cannot defeat Tinubu again in Lagos. Those raise issue. And they asked him in that interview, is Obi a nightmare? He said, no, it's not a nightmare to the federal government because the federal government is working. Rather, it's a nuisance. So one man has become an issue. And you may think you're diminishing him. But Nigerians are beginning to see what he represents because you are playing him up democratically. And before you know it, it becomes a symbol. You know, the apartheid system tried to everything they could to cage Mandela, but the more they did, even in Robben Island in the prison, the more they threw him up. Today, he's the only man living or dead that the United Nations has a day designated to celebrate Mandela Day. So sometimes you think you are trying to suffocate a man, but you are actually playing him up. You know, it's a market place free of ideas, democracy. Sell your manifesto. Allow the opposition to sell their manifesto. And at the end of the day, give the Nigerian people who democracy is about the people. If you divorce the people from democracy, then there is nothing left.
There's no democracy.
Allow the Nigerian people to decide
who should be their
who
leader.
should be. You have had the privilege of the past 3 years, going to the 4th year now, of implementation.
Okay.
Then allow the people to judge what you have presented. I think over the weekend, the First Family was advising Nigerians on business opportunities that are available. The frying of akara, the roasting of corn.
But we have been frying akara now.
Oh, yes, that with 50,000 naira you can be empowered. Exactly. And Sunday diary, my friend said that the mother trained him with the frying of akara. So we are beginning to see the investment opportunities.
So if all of us start frying akara,
who will buy from you?
And
if there's so much insecurity, suffocating insecurity,
how do
people come out
to buy
the akara? And so what Nigerians are actually appealing is that let us have the enabling environment views to thrive, that Nigerians will be able to choose so that our democracy can get better than what it is now.
Maybe you can bring this together for us at this point, because if the federal government appears a bit insecure with a more robust political environment, what does this say?
You say insecure or unsure?
Well,
insecure.
Is it insecurity or you tell us?
No, I also give it to you. You have your way with words. Nigerians are suffering from insecurity and it's getting severe. But it appears that the federal government is losing confidence by the day.
That's what she's saying now.
With the level of borrowing.
Yeah.
With the budgets that are not being implemented.
You are throwing more things in the pot. Let's go away from borrowing. Let's talk about the situation on ground.
The psychological issue that you
because by the time you add borrowing, you are
that you have. Of course, we have other parties.
Okay.
But if the federal government is, or rather, have been accused allegedly that they are trying to suffocate the opposition, that's a sense of insecurity.
Yes.
So what does it say about the journey of the Tinubu administration over the past 3 years?
Well, that is why so many people are very concerned about what 2027 portends. 2026 is supposed to be a build-up year. And we are just a couple of months. By August, having moved from Ekiti, the off-cycle elections should be going to...
Is it Anambra?
No, not Anambra. Okay. Anambra is far-fetched now. Okay. We are talking of Osun State. Osun State. You understand? And after that, we should go into the mainstream elections. But you can see that if you do well and you have confidence in the people, you go out there and market yourself. If hope had been renewed the way we were told, then of course you have the confidence that you go, you have the structures.
Yeah.
But when you come in the form of hurricane and take the governors, well, some other people who are Democrats will say, you take the governors. They are possibly 36. We take the people.
Okay.
Because the people have been disenfranchised. The people are impoverished. There is hunger in the land. It's undeniable.
Yeah.
You can't deny that there is hunger in the land.
Everybody's struggling.
Very visible.
For you now, Henry, walking here, there are about an average of 10 people depending on your salary.
Definitely.
And when you leave here before 4 o'clock, some 5-10 people will call you for urgent 5K.
It's no longer 2K.
For you to urgent 5K,
That's 2K. All right. We are talking about the situation in our country building up to 2027 elections. That's a headline we're looking at. And of course, when we come back, we're going to continue in other areas. Stay with us. Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives.
us every morning.
We bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives. You're welcome back. Of course, we have been painting a picture of our nation building up to the elections. We still have in the studio Godfrey Obaka.
Yeah, thank you so very much.
Because if he is still here, success is still here. Moving on, in the midst of this melee, it's interesting that Siriake Dixon, who is the henchman for NDC, is saying that if election is conducted today under normal circumstances, that the NDC will beat President Tinubu and send him out of office. Laughable as it is. Is there any onion in it?
Yeah, well, beyond onions. I think there's pepper and Maggi inside that. He's saying that giving a level playing field,
ideal situation,
giving an ideal situation, and we all do know. Economists at the end of all their postulation, we say ceteris paribus, all things being equal. And we all know that all things are hardly ever equal. All things are hardly ever equal. But I think what the takeaway from his statement is that the administration, the federal government, has not lived up to its promise of a renewed hope. Jobs have not been created. Nigerians, as we speak, close to 1,000 are stranded at the Johannesburg airport in South Africa. And it's like a war situation. We are hours away from the deadline that they were given. Ghana did not procrastinate. He came in there and picked. But we have Nigerians now who have been shouting and calling. And all we hear is that Air Peace has been doing this job over the time. Now, the federal government approved money for that evacuation. An urgent one as it is. And the Foreign Affairs Ministry started, and the Diaspora Office started bringing about a bidding, for another, let it become competitive. And in the process, the Air Peace as a business venture wasn't too sure if he goes and brings the Nigerians, whether he will be paid. And so he went for the first trip and he didn't return. And that is why today we have Nigerians that are stranded there. Some of the ideals of a nation is the value you place.
Your response to your nationals in distress.
And Nigeria is perhaps the only nation in the world who could feel as if nothing is happening under such a situation.
Even though we have all the means.
Exactly, we have all the means, but we lack the political will, bureaucracy and all that. So it appears that in some of such areas, farmers can go to farm.
No,
food insecurity.
Let's come back to that statement. There's a statement
understand.
there that if election is conducted today under free and fair circumstances,
I am telling you why.
They will defeat the incumbent.
Why it will be difficult for the incumbent to retain power. I'm telling you the premise, the circumstances that under which he made the statement that he made. But incidentally, we find that those ideal circumstances he's expecting might not be there. That is the fear. And that is why you find out that not too many people are very interested in elections. Because from the conduct and the body language of INEC, you see a situation where it appears to be it's independent National Electoral Commission. That independence is very questionable.
Independent, but dependently appointed.
Exactly, dependently appointed, and you must play in line with the conditions of your appointment.
But I'd like to ask this question. Judging by our history, how often can you defeat an incumbent who is unwilling to leave office in this Nigeria?
Well, it did happen. Jonathan had every reason to have stayed.
But he was not unwilling.
Yes, he had every reason to have stayed.
But for a for an incumbent who does not want to go, how easy is it to defeat him in an election?
Well, yeah, you're asking of our climb?
Yes.
After Trump's first tenure,
yes,
he was not ready to go.
Okay.
But Air Force One came at the appointed time and took him away. That is why we need to develop strong institutions instead of developing strong men.
Okay.
The danger of the trajectory Nigerian democracy is going to is that we have the monster of creating strong men, strong personalities, diminishing institutions. In American democracy, whether you are willing to leave White House or not, there is a time
the people will
that the Air Force One will come, get in. We were told that when Trump was leaving, he did write on the wall, "I shall return." And eventually he returned. Eventually he returned. That was the will of fate. He didn't just believe it, he wrote it down. He returned.
And he returned.
But we some persons are afraid that we might not have that luxury in Nigeria. Because we have somebody who might not be willing to live alive.
Even when situation says so.
I'm talking about the comparison that you just made. You compared Nigeria to the United States of America. That's
an evolved democracy. Yeah.
So looking at Nigeria in the context of Africa, what can you say regarding in this? How can you compare Nigerian democracy to what's prevalent in Africa, where we have some places inhabited? In fact, the military is in place, and we hear of coups and all of that.
Why did you decide to bring me back to Africa? Bishop has a way of saying, Kwavadis, Africa. Kwavadis, Africa. Where is Africa heading to?
So you mean
are we going to go to neighboring Cameroon, where we have somebody who has been there, right from since some of you were born? And the last time that I saw him in the public was when CAF was holding an African football tournament.
Yes.
And there was a young wife, a mistress, who was telling him when to raise his hand and wave and all that. You imagine what thinking can this one bring to democracy? That is the bane of democracy in Africa. We have what they call statism. People who want to stay in power. Until death do them part. It doesn't help the system.
So much of the situation of our nation. Let's dwell on something more positive before we round up. Okay. Now, we are told that Nigeria leads sub-Saharan Africa as 24 universities make 2026 global ranking. That is because we're talking about building institutions. Let's leave what we have not done right. Let's focus on the area we have
for some level of balance.
24 Nigerian universities have been listed in global ranking.
I think in some ways it also did make my weekend. Coming to think of it, the ranking body brought out a list of universities in the world. And Nigeria was able to make about 24 thereabout. I checked and I saw University of Ibadan, the good old UI.
Don't do advert for them.
Ife should be Lagos. But I saw a number of state universities and I also saw private universities. What hope does that give you? The private sector has got the covenants of this war, the Bangkok of this war. The private sector has come in to make a statement, to do some level of rescue. But the joy there is that even the federal-owned institutions are leveraging on their age and the structure they have and the professors, and they are still making a statement. And the world recognizes that. What does that say? There is still hope for Nigeria.
Absolutely. Especially when we embrace education.
There is always hope. There will be a change.
Education is a pathway
forward for Nigeria. Exactly.
All right, before we leave, I would like us to talk about this because if you brought it to me as a man, thank God you're the second man in the studio. The issue of 25% of men. How did you put it again?
Yes, 25% of men.
I'm sure Henry felt marginalized before I came in.
No,
you felt marginalized. You want me to come to your rescue?
No. You see, I didn't defend men because ignorance is the worst enemy we have, especially in Black Africa. I for one, maybe I need to say this. I was childless for 19 years.
Oh my God!
With all the prayers, with all the wedding of people, with all the dedication of children. And a lot of tests were done.
Yeah.
You understand? Now we find that issue of low sperm count, we despise it a lot, but it's an issue.
Yeah.
Because of the kind of work we do, the places we expose ourselves to, these things are there. And promiscuity, like I said. But most men don't know this. So once the wife of a man cannot conceive, the story is that, the man is living with another woman. Two men are living in the same house.
Well, I think coming in there,
yes,
the newspapers came up with that. It's a health story and it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Just to let you know.
Let me also add that the news is beyond what they wrote there.
Okay.
What I expect health correspondents to go and factor in is why.
I believe the
and the why has to do with lifestyle.
I've just told you a few of them.
Lifestyle.
Yeah.
In your time,
yeah,
addiction to drugs, alcoholism, was not there. But today we find that it has become so prevalent because even somebody in the secondary school is already used to drug using, and it has a way of affecting
girlfriend and girlfriend.
And it also has a way of affecting the system. And thank God there are ways now where science can help with people to also have some ways of having children even in that state.
Alternative means. Well, thank you, Godfrey, for being with us in the studio. Of course, Ify and Success, they have no choice. We still have work to do. Well, that's how we wrap it up on paper review for this morning. We'll be back to continue with Morning Dew, and we'll be going straight up to Sports Update. Stay with us. Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives. For staying with us. And of course, Anthony Uche is already in the studio to give us an update as it concerns sports. You're welcome, Anthony.
Thank you very
much. How are you doing this morning?
It is my pleasure to be here.
All right. Shoot your shots. Shoot your shots.
Good morning, Anthony.
Well, as always, almost after every weekend, there's always a lot to talk about in sports. And of course, the World Cup is still ongoing, so we'll start right from that place where the round of 32 has started. It kicked off 8 p.m. Nigerian time yesterday, and the first game up was South Africa versus Canada. And unfortunately, Africa now have 8 teams because South Africa got knocked out by 92nd minutes goal, from Stephen Eustachio for Canada. That was very, very late in the day. South Africa played really well defensively, especially because, yes, Canada are not playing in Toronto or Vancouver as they would have liked to. They played that game in New York, New Jersey yesterday. So, but it still felt like home because it's just across the border for Canada. So they had a lot of support. They were on the front foot, played really well, attacked for most of the game. South Africa defended really well for most of the game, but unfortunately, that lapse of concentration in the 92nd minutes, because I think a lot of them were already thinking about extra time at the point, so they just let Eustachio. He was very free on the edge of the box.
They lost their guard.
Yes, he was very free on the edge of the box, and with the players who are of that talent, one shot they could punish you, and that was what happened. So for Hugo Bruce, is a reflection for them. I don't think he will lose the job because he did really well. South Africa qualified for the first time really for a World Cup in 16 years since they hosted it in 2010. They did not only do that, they went a step further to qualify for the knockout round for the first time in their history. So if you look back on the tournament, yes, they will look back a bit disappointed, obviously, because you don't want to go out. But if you think about it deeply or you reflect a bit more,
you are true to yourself.
Yes, you understand that they've achieved something special. So for Hugo Bruce, I'm not scared. The Belgian will most likely stay as the coach of the South African national team. And then, of course, there will be games coming up today. There was just one game yesterday for the round of 32 games, but today we have 3. And the first of them is the biggest of them, in my opinion, Brazil versus Japan. And I think this game has come a bit too early. Because, I mean, these two teams, I know a lot of people will be saying Japan. Yes, but Japan are a very, very big powerhouse in Asian football.
Technically,
yes, they have a lot of good players and they score a lot of goals. And another thing that is a hallmark of their team, they run for 120 minutes if they have to.
They are
very
stamina.
Yes, they are tireless. So Moriyachu's men will test Brazil today without doubt. I am very sure of that. And Brazil started off the tournament without draw against Morocco. A lot of people were disappointed. But I think they've gotten stronger as the tournament grew. In the second game against Haiti, they beat them by 3-0. And then, of course, the game against Scotland, they beat Scotland by 3-0. And they looked like they could have won that game by 5 because they looked really on their game. They were pressing really hard from the front. A lot of the things they didn't do against Morocco, they did against Haiti and subsequently Scotland. So I think if I was Japanese, I'm a lot less optimistic than I probably was after that first game I saw Brazil play, because now they look like they've gelled. They look more like a team. And, the midfield in the first game, Carlos Casemiro, who, of course, a lot of Man United fans know him. He plays for United, but he will be leaving this summer. He looked really out of place in the first game. In fact, he was hooked at halftime.
Age is coming in.
Yes, because he's 35 now. He's no longer any young, but he was hooked at halftime. That's an indicator of, and Ancelotti is a very patient man.
Yeah.
He's the kind of manager that gives you an arm around the shoulder and all that. But for him to have hooked him at halftime shows that he clearly was underperforming. But for the 2 games that he played after that, he started against Haiti, started against Scotland, and he was absolutely perfect. So for players like him on an individual level, and then you look across the team as well, a lot of them have gotten better with the games that they played. I mean, Vinicius Jr., 4 goals. He scored in every group game, So he's also definitely one of the biggest threats that Japan will face. But on the other end, Japan, like I said, they're not lacking in talent themselves. Junya Ito and Keito Nakamura are the 2 wingers. And like I said, they run for 120 minutes if they have to. But these guys, they can run for 2 hours, 3 hours if they want to. And in football, if you understand, wing backs are a bit more difficult than traditional fullbacks, because wing backs, you have to go join the attack, fall back for the defense, join the attack, and those guys, they do it effortlessly. So that game, like I said, is the 6 o'clock Nigerian time today, but it is by far the biggest game of the day because it guarantees a lot of entertainment, and nonetheless, I expect a lot of goals in that one. Then of course, we also have the game between the Netherlands and the Netherlands will play later tonight, and they will take on a very difficult opponent in Morocco. One of Africa's leading lights going into the tournament alongside Senegal. Senegal have wobbled a little bit, but they've seemed to find their groove back. But Morocco, aside from that draw against Brazil, they've been immaculate. Defeated Scotland, defeated Haiti. Yes, they considered 2 goals against a Haiti team, which could be an indicator of poor defense. But the reaction to those 2 goals is something you can hold on to for some sort of courage. So for Ahmed Awabi and his guys, I think the Netherlands are difficult. They are Europeans. They have a lot of star players, the likes of Virgil van Dijk at the back, Mickey van der Ven at the back. In front, you have Brian Brobby, who plays for Sunderland. He's very good. Scored 4 goals so far as well at the tournament. But Morocco, they play like they are a rush on the skin because they mark you from the first minute to the last. They're energetic, just like you saw, with Japan. So this game makes for a bit of entertainment as well. So, I mean, this is the World Cup and it's delivered nothing short of absolute drama so far. And I expect a lot more to follow tonight.
Awesome.
The last game.
Yeah, the last game, of course, is another kickoff, but that one is a lot less appealing. So we just focus on the ones that are concerning to African teams and the ones that are a bit more focused. But of course, there's Wimbledon as well. Wimbledon, the tennis tournament kicks off today, or serves off today rather. And there's a lot of storylines, to look at ahead of the Wimbledon. Of course, traditionally, the defending champions, whenever a new tournament starts, the defending champions will have to play first on the center court. And Iga Swiatek, Polish, very, very good, very, very powerful athlete. I know a lot of people know her by now. She won the Wimbledon last year for the first time in her career, and she's going to tee off today. And she'll be playing against Taylor Townsend. That's she on the screen right there, very powerful. That was last year with her trophy. And she's going to play against American Taylor Townsend in what is expected to be a stroll through the park for her. And then, of course, for the men's defending champion as well, or the gentlemen's defending champions, that's what they call it at Wimbledon. Wimbledon is such an immaculate tournament because then you play in all white. Everything is going to be white. It's the only grass court on the tour. So you have the three courts. You have the hard court, you have the grass, and you have the clay. The Wimbledon, like you can see there, yes, is only the grass court on the tournament, on the Grand Slam, and it dates back to even the 80s. It has a long history, and for almost all that time, everybody on courts has had to be on white. So it's such an immaculate tournament. So, and for the men's defending champion, like I was saying, Yannick Sinner, he will also play today, and he will play against Memar Kecmanovic, who is Serbian world number 51. I expect him to win. Yes, a lot of people will be like, he didn't win. At Roland Garros, he had the problem, and I think he will have the problem again. The heat affected him a lot a few weeks back or a month ago now in France. He was leading by 2 sets and 2 games, but for some reason he got a cramp and just went downhill from there, and he went on to lose the game. But I think this time around he'll be a bit more prepared for the weather conditions, because that's always been his problem. Aside from the physical limitations to his game, he's absolutely perfect. He doesn't drop a lot of points. He's ruthless, and that's ruthlessness that has that the best players in the world have. Yannick Sinner has it. So I think he should be fine for today at least. And then, of course, you also have other storylines. The Williams sisters, as I told you a few weeks ago, they are back and they will play, in no distant time. They will play singles and then play doubles as well. So we'll get to enjoy a lot of the Williams sisters. Since 2022, Serena has not played the Grand Slam tournament. She's given birth to 2 kids since then, and she's bounced back at the ripe old age of 44. Venus, 45, a bit older than her sister, but still going, yes, they're not the kind of players they used to be 10, 15 years ago, but the quality is still high.
Sports is about age and strength.
Time catches up with everybody eventually, but they still have a good quality to them.
These are interesting times really for sports lovers across the world. So we're looking forward to much more excitement coming. And just to add, the Williams sisters, doesn't mean that we don't quite have that much young people coming up strong.
That can come in and
you see, that's the funny thing. In the WTA,
take over from them.
That's the thing. The WTA is a lot more open, if I put it that way. It's a lot more. So the WTA is for the women's. That's the Women's Tennis Association. The men's are the ATP, the Association of Tennis Professionals. But the thing is, the women's are a lot more open to. You see a lot more upsets. So there's actually a lot of young talents. And talking of young talents, unfortunately, one of them will not be there today. 23-year-old British #1 lady, Ima Raducanu. She's had to pull out late last night due to an injury to her right leg. And she was trying to manage the injury, but eventually it turned to a stress fracture, because that's what you get when you try to manage injuries for too long. It gets to a repairable to an irreparable place, and that's what happened. Unfortunately, this is her home tournament as well, because she's British, and this means a lot to British players to play. It's always because you have the support of everybody in the stand. You're at home. This is a court you probably trained when you were 5, 10 years old. So, but it's disappointing for Emma. She will not.
So she'll take a longer time to heal.
Yes, she'll take a longer time now to heal. She has not put a date to her return. She just said, "I'll see you when I get back." So, and when people usually say that, it means they're gonna be out for a big while. Yes, they're gonna be out for a little longer.
All right, before we let you go, let's celebrate Africa. In the World Cup, we didn't have course over the weekend to talk about the teams that qualified for the next round, the round of 32. Now, we have seen situations in the past when we had 4 teams representing Africa. At the end of the day, they all go away in the first round.
Yeah.
But for the first time, we presented 10 teams and 9 qualified for the second round. You want to speak to that as an improvement
to have a 90% success rate is very, very good for the continent. I mean, let's just forget, let's behave as if Tunisians are not Africans, because I don't know what they did at the World Cup.
What
honestly.
did you say?
And let's pretend as if the Carthaginians are not at the World Cup, because they are the only one until yesterday. And it's not about the way, it's not about getting knocked out.
Yes.
It's about the manner. 5-1 in the first game, 4-0 in the second game, 3-1 in the last game. That's so embarrassing.
That's crushing.
Yes, they were the whooping boys of the group, basically. Yes. And the problem was the manner at which they left. A lot of chaos, sacked the manager after the first World Cup game. That has never been done before in the history of the sport. So it's just a bit more, a lot chaotic in the team. So I just don't want to talk about them. Let's focus on the good part. And the good part is, like I said,
we'll talk about them. You remember, at the Africa Cup of Nations, they were the team that mocked, was it not? That mocked the Congolese man. Is it not?
No, that was Algeria. That was Mohamed Amoura of Algeria.
Oh, okay.
That's called. Okay. And then the next round they got knocked out, and everybody was very happy about
we had a way of
celebrating. Football is it's just like the world.
But those who understand sporting patterns can also predict, and I know that you follow these great games closely. So you can tell us, in the present stage, we have 8 teams, present.
Still left.
So how many teams can you predict likely to move over to the next?
It's not predictable.
Is it possible?
That's the problem. That's the problem.
If you predict, you are gambling.
That's the problem. So if you asked me this in the second round of games, or even if you asked me this on Friday, I would have said Morocco is one of those.
Yes.
Because by far they are one of our strongest teams on the continent. Like I said, alongside Senegal.
I can also talk about Senegal.
Yes.
You can't rule out Senegal.
Yes, of course.
They have a fighting spirit.
But the fact that they come up against the Dutch, this is what I don't like about this third place team progression. The 48-team tournament format that we've seen.
Yes, because
usually it's just straightforward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Finish in the first 2 and you qualify. Otherwise, you are going home.
Yes.
So, but that now gave a lot of countries like the Netherlands laxity to relax. I feel like, okay, worst comes to worst, we'll finish with 4 points. Even if we finish in third place, we'll make it to the next round. So now you're starting to see people who probably shouldn't have met. I mean, I told you Brazil and Japan is too early.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Those people shouldn't be meeting at this point of the tournament.
Game.
Yes, they should be meeting closer to the end of the tournament. Yeah. So this is one thing that has happened to you, and I think it's affected Morocco as well. Finishing second, they come up against the first place team, which is the Netherlands. So that's a bit of a problem for them. I would have said they would qualify. I still say they will qualify, but it's not as easy as I thought it would be. Then, of course, like you said, you can't rule out Senegal. Senegal are also a very good team. And the response they gave, going into the game against Iraq on Friday, they had to win handsomely, and they did. 5-0. That is as comprehensive as it gets. Yes, that is as comprehensive as it gets. So the Teranga Lions, I'm not ruling them out. There's a lot of problem in camp. The coach doesn't have a contract currently. A lot of the players are complaining about the chef not traveling with them, so they just order food from outside. So all of these things are reasons to fail. But I think they're focusing on the reasons to win, which is the positive thing. So themselves, and then of course, Algeria stumbled their way through the game against Argentina. I mean, they got messy against Argentina, but it could happen to anybody. It's just that guy is not normal. So it could happen. So I'm not judging them.
Messi is not normal.
He's not normal. He's a normal human being.
He's
not a normal human being. So it could happen to anybody. It could happen to the best of teams. So I'm not judging them by that performance. And they reacted really well. They defeated Jordan and then, of course, held Austria to a 3-0 draw in their last game. So I think they have a bit of a chance. But all these things will depend eventually on who you're playing. And unfortunately for me, the best story of the tournament so far, Cape Verde will be coming up against Argentina, and I think that's the end of the road for them.
The hope of the continent is on the shoulders of those eight.
Now, what do you say? What do you say about Cote d'Ivoire? Cote d'Ivoire is a team
Cote d'Ivoire,
to reckon with.
They're a good team. I mean, I told you here on Friday that this is their own golden generation, because I think this team has surpassed what Drogba and the likes achieved a few years ago. So this has to be seen as their own golden generation, but even that doesn't guarantee anything.
Okay.
So it's going to be a tough task.
Who are they meeting? Cote d'Ivoire is meeting with...
they're missing a European country. I just don't have the name on my head right now. But I think whoever they meet from this place onwards is difficult. There are no easy games from here now. Because nobody who is joking about their football is at the round of 32 of the World Cup.
But we're with them through all through.
Of course.
And we're hopeful that Africa will lift the cup.
It's going to be the first. But one thing is certain. One thing is certain. If you have 8 teams out of the 32 that are left, so let's just say maybe
Probably.
Let's be
four at worst.
hopeful.
At worst, four
go to
get
the
into
next
the
round.
quarter,
Yes.
get into the round of
Yes.
16.
Yeah.
And if you have that, then it means there's a very good chance that somebody might do more than what Morocco did 4 years ago in Qatar to make the semi-final. So perhaps we're looking at an African country in the final, but even that will still be a shocker to me.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, the only thing a man can do is hope. right?
We're evolving. We're
Africa is
evolving. Now
moving.
let's look at this thing I've noticed about football. Most of these great nations that eventually go ahead to win the World Cup, apart from the South Americans, like in Europe, you find that until France is playing with about 7 African players, they don't win game. England has a lot of them. Now, even rare places like Germany, Switzerland, they're having Nigerians playing for them. What is it about Africans? Because I've not seen any European play for African team in any world competition.
If you had the chance,
Does
if you had the choice, what would you choose?
What is the meaning of if you had the choice?
I'm not saying
We are
anything more
playing.
than that. If
We
you
are
had the
playing to
choice.
make
he's a
them win.
patriot.
Yeah, and of course,
We
he's
are
a
playing to
Pan-African.
make them win.
Yes, yes.
Okay, like the last match that France won.
Yeah.
I took time to count.
I think there are only about two French
people,
actual
Hernandez
French
and
players.
Theo Hernandez and one other
And
person.
the Rabiot.
The other persons
The
were
rest of them are
blacks.
mixed.
They were
Yeah.
Africans.
Yeah.
What does that say about us? That without us, you don't
No,
have success.
I think you also highlight
still
the,
remain a
the
giant of
cosmopolitan
football.
nature of a lot of these European nations.
Yeah.
So their borders are open now. The borders are a lot more open politically. So that means the influx of foreigners a lot more than we usually did see back in the day. So and even in Brazil, a lot of those Brazilians have African.
No. As for
African
Brazil,
descent,
a good majority of them. In fact, there's a state called Bahia.
Yeah.
It's Yoruba people that are there.
Yes, exactly.
The IFA practice they do there is stronger than the one they do in Osun. I'm serious because some of our colleagues who studied Portuguese, they went there for their year abroad and they came back with stories of real people who are speaking Yoruba. Not that they are immigrants.
Yeah.
They are aborigines of the place, the state of Bahia. So there was a time that Brazil was even coming up with ethnic cleansing. You know, if you are not a mulatto, they don't want anybody to repeat the record of Pelé.
Yeah.
But it has not helped them.
Yeah.
Look at Vinicius Jr.
Yeah.
What they are doing with him.
Even Neymar is not. Neymar is.
Neymar is colored now.
Yeah, he's not pure
I'm
breed
talking about
either.
a pure black man doing exploit like Pelé did.
Yeah.
They don't want it again. There's this, but whether you know it
Pushback.
or not, there's something about the black man strength and sports.
Just to add to
that's
what
I want
Henry
to point
is
out.
saying, you find that Caucasians or Europeans, they usually focus on Africa for other things apart from sports.
Yes.
That's probably because our sporting system is not attractive.
Yeah,
No,
that's
I
within
think, yes,
the
if
continent.
you're a player,
Yeah.
it's not quite
That's why I asked
attractive
him if
to
he had
them.
the choice. That's why I asked him if he had the choice.
But
he would
in
pick
other
any.
sectors, in Abuja, I was with some Europeans who are in the education sector, talking about other things they can do in Nigeria.
Yes.
In terms of other sectors, oil and, all of these places, you can see their interest.
Yeah.
And increasingly, Nigeria is on the map. A lot of people are beginning to think Africa.
Yeah.
And one of them even said there's a lot of money in Nigeria. For a white man to be
This money matter.
to be saying
No,
that there's a lot of
I think
money,
what
that
they
tells
end up
you.
saying.
And he didn't mention sports.
Yeah.
He was talking about other sectors.
Okay, our system is not strict. That's why I tell you, I can't live anywhere else. Because if you go to Europe or America, no matter how much money you make, a lot of it is spent in the system.
Yes.
Nigeria is one place where you have the leverage, you have the liberty to make your money and enjoy your money. Now they're talking about the issue.
Making it is the problem, though.
No, you still make money.
You still
It's
make
we.
it, boy.
On a serious note,
Like-
it's we that don't want to work. Nigerians live here and go and do all sorts of jobs to make money abroad. But they won't do that job here.
So
If you are a
what
driver,
could be
for
the
instance,
cause?
in this place, you drive Uber, your colleagues will mock you, your people will say, is that all you're doing? But people will live here with their graduate job, bank work, live here, go to America, and they are driving taxi. And they are proud of it because they are paying them in dollars. There is job here. It's we that don't want to work.
Well,
There's money in Nigeria. It's we that don't want to work to make it.
well, the younger generation, we differ, but let's let him win. Let's just let him
But
For the sake of peace.
yeah, but I also think
Just
right
let him
now,
win.
that we don't have enough jobs out there, like the white collar job and all that.
White collar job,
Yes.
testify.
You will still see persons doing this Uber job, and that is what they used to feed their family
Sure.
and do everything. And now they're even seeing it like yes, this is what I do. So even right here in Nigeria, the Uber thing still pays and people lived on it daily. So yes, like you want to say our younger generations, they don't want to, do those things. They feel like it's demeaning.
It's not
But it's
dignified.
nothing, it's not dignified because it is not a white collar job, but it's okay.
Job is job.
From football to
From
tennis.
football.
Listen to me, ship money is the way I'm looking
Dirty
at
money.
you. This man will so
Dirty
want to
money.
go to Canada. The way I'm looking at you.
No,
Listen,
just
you
sit
can
close
make a
to
life
him. I
in
just
Nigeria
know
here.
that.
That's the truth. We just have this mentality of even the fact that you are staying at Abuja, you are staying the way you are from Delta State or from Anambra State, and you think that Abuja is where you make it. You will finish whatever you're doing, come here and see that your colleagues are ahead of you because of home advantage. There's some advantage. Don't go to Canada. Don't go to Canada.
I don't know who that is directed at, but
I'm talking to you. I'm looking at you.
Finally, kindly advice: don't go to Canada. Stay here and make the money.
No problem. But before I leave, I would like to just leave you on the fast side of sports because I also bring Formula One news. And yesterday, the Austrian Grand Prix went down, and George Russell won the Austrian Grand Prix. That is his second win of the season. The last time he won was the opening race of the season, which was in March. The 2nd of March. So generally, of course, Kimi Antonelli also came third. Max Verstappen, who won the previous 2 years of championships, he's had a slow start to the season. I mean, if not for the updates they did or upgrade that they did a few weeks ago on his vehicle, he probably wouldn't even make pole like he did. So he made pole yesterday. But of course, George Russell, number one, Max Verstappen, number two, and then of course, Kimi Antonelli, who is also George Russell's Mercedes teammate, finished third on the podium. And that means that, as you can see there, the principal driver, the championship of Mercedes. Mercedes they're just crawling through this season with their cars. And, sometimes a lot of fans in the F1 world say it's not fair because a lot of cars are allowed to upgrade and then others. So you're only allowed to upgrade within a short period of time. So if you want to say you want your upgrade in the next 6 months, after that 6 months period, you would not upgrade your car again until the season is over. So a lot of people say it's unfair that everybody should be allowed to do it at the same time. But then I think it's about timing. And Mercedes times their own very, very well. They did it at the very start of the season. So they ran out of the tracks, really. I mean, Kimi Antonelli is only 19 years old, but he's won about 5 Grand Prix already this season. Until, my guy, Lewis Hamilton, eventually won in Barcelona a few weeks ago. It was just Antonelli, and it started to seem like it was only Mercedes. And you remember Hamilton left Mercedes to join Ferrari, a few years back, and it's almost like he's joined Ferrari, and Mercedes has done everything he was complaining about for the past few years of Mercedes. But it is what it is. Congratulations to George Russell. It's not going to be easy because the next one is going to be like we were talking about British people. I mean, a lot of things are going down in Britain, for the early days of July, and that includes the next race will be, in Silverstone next weekend. Silverstone is the home ground for the British Grand Prix, and that is home to, like I said, George Russell. It is home to Lewis Hamilton, and that comes with a lot of pressure because in front of the home fans. Over the years, Hamilton has dominated, Silverstone. He's made it his personal thing. Yeah. I mean, with all those years that he went winning championships after championships, most of those wins, the best of them have come at Silverstone because he's surrounded by people who like him a lot. But we'll see how that goes next weekend. I'll be here on Monday definitely to bring you up with it.
Now, some of us who watch some of these sports, we don't understand. Now you're talking about, because I would think that as part of level playing ground for all the racers, as it were, that everybody will use one brand of car. Now, if I'm using Mercedes and you're using Ferrari, and another is using maybe Toyota,
that's the competition. That's the competition. So there has to be competition for the constructor. So even at the end of the season, there's a win. There's a championship, drivers' championship win. That's when the popular one that we see people like Hamilton and Antonelli and Max Verstappen win. Then there's also the constructors' championship. Okay. So the thing is geared to make sure the constructors are working. Mercedes,
up to date.
Yes, Mercedes, Ferrari, whatever, McLaren, they are doing their job. Then the drivers are also competing within themselves. So at the end of the season, but it usually ends up being, I've not seen a year recently where a different driver from a different car wins. Let's say a Mercedes driver wins the drivers' championship, and then maybe Ferrari wins the constructors' championship. It's always the same team. Because it means if the driver is doing well, the constructors are doing what they're supposed to do as well. So the whole thing is just geared towards competition. And this sport, It's a gentleman's sport because it's a very high risk sport.
With all the violence.
That's why I say because it's a very high risk sport. If you lose your head for half a second, you could die.
Yeah.
Because of the speed that you drive at.
I was going to talk.
But there's also a lot of madness in the sport as well. So that madness is driven. I mean, it's ironic that we're driving. Madness is driving them to drive better. So generally, it's just that, the whole thing is geared towards competition, and there's a lot of competition in Formula One.
Thank you, Anthony. It's been very.
I mean, I can go on.
Thank you for hitting up the studio with sports activity. Of course, sports is about energy, and energy. Thank you for having the energy and doing it for Dott TV.
And the passion, the
passion, yes.
Yeah, sure.
You're making me love sports day by day.
Yeah, that's my job now. If I don't do that, I fail at my job.
We're looking forward to the games today.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll bring you all the gist and all.
All right, viewer. Thank you for staying along with us. We will continue with Morning Dew after this time out. Stay with us. Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives.
Football pitches to sporting successes to the major developments making the headlines all over the world.
And from the untold human stories, the struggles, victories, resilience, and hope of the everyday Nigerians.
This is the news beyond the headlines. Dott TV News are your trusted window to stories that truly matter to the people. Here, we don't just report events, we tell the human stories behind them.
Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives. Welcome back still. Thank you for staying on with us as we walk you through issues of the nation. Of course, we just finished with sports, and I'm sure you were well served. Right now, we're going to political issues, the political situation in our nation. And we have a man in the studio who is not just an observer, he is a participant. He's a politician, he's a lawyer, he's even a student. We're talking about Barrister James Akporero, who will join us to walk through the issues of our nation as it stands. Of course, if he stay here, success. We're all here ready to serve you. Sir, you're welcome to our studio.
Good morning, Pastor.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good to have you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
All right, to open up on the discourse, INEC published their timetable way back, and the timetable was supposed to be implemented starting Friday. Right now, we're having issues with some parties saying they are denied access code. And then, of course, some other parties are struggling against deregistration. Now, all this in the midst of the timetable. How do we see 2027 in terms of reality?
The truth is that there's a lot of confusion in the air.
Okay.
And we've never seen it like this before. If you go through history from the First Republic, even the Buhari era that people thought wasn't responding to the yearnings of Nigerians.
Okay.
If you check, he ran against 92 parties. He didn't make an attempt to deregister anybody.
Okay.
I think what's going on is that the government of the day is not comfortable with 2027.
Okay.
I'll tell you.
How do you mean?
I'll tell you that one for free. Because I don't see any reason. As a lawyer, the judgment was a final judgment. And if anybody did not agree with that judgment, there was a number of days or period that an appeal would have been done. But this is 6 months, 10 days after that judgment. And the same judge is coming to say that he has withdrawn the judgment. What we see is a situation where APC wants to run alone for 2027. That's the truth. APC wants to run alone for 2027, and that's the truth. Trying to stop everybody. There was one time Obi said, the federal government does not want me to be on the ballot, but I will be on the ballot. People were criticizing him. Why are you moving from one party to another? But you can see that even when he got to NDC, everybody felt it was a safe haven. That everything was settled. The party came in by the instruction of the court, and nothing was going to happen overnight. So what we have is confusion. And I tell you that Nigerians, this is the time to rise.
No, we don't want you to call for riot now, revolution. Not in our studio. Not in our studio. But excuse me. You mentioned NDC.
Yeah.
I remember last week, thereabout, there was this issue of three parties. ADC was part of them. Another party that were deregistered, and then the appeal court came for an injunction. Now, how do we mix that with this one of NDC now? Can't the same injunction apply to NDC?
No, what actually happened in that case was that there was already a judgment by the appeal court saying that they should keep the status quo till October.
Okay.
So that other judge coming to now raise the case was going against a superior court.
Okay.
And you see, courts have
they have their ratings.
Yes, they have the hierarchy. So that was completely wrong. And what's happening now, when a case has been finalized, like I said initially, you appeal. You don't go back after 6 months and say you have withdrawn the judgment. It's an embarrassment to democracy.
Okay, so saying that it looks like APC wants to run alone for the 2027 election. So is it possible? Are you saying will it be possible for Nigeria to run a single system party?
It won't be possible because even when the military was there, with the jackboot, Nigerians rose. The man who is president today gave everybody the impression that he was part of Nadeko. He fought for democracy. But the body language and all that's going on does not show that
was the same man.
That definition of democracy is what is happening today.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, Nigerians will not take it lying low. Except we don't want elections for 2027.
Yeah, that's the concern, because if all these were in this quagmire, as it were, how do we straighten up before? Because we're talking about February. By February, the election should be done and dusted.
January and
February.
Yes, and talking about a judge reneging on a 6 month plus old judgment, what does it say about the Nigerian judicial system and ethics?
I can tell you, I'm ashamed to be a lawyer. this stage. Law was not my first cause.
No, you are a lawyer, you are not a judge. It's judges that are doing what they are doing.
No, hold on. You have to be a lawyer before you become a judge.
Okay.
Yes, you have to be a lawyer before you become a judge.
Okay.
What I'm trying to say in essence is that I'm an architect. I have a master's degree from University of Nigeria in 1991 before I went to read law. Okay. When I say I'm ashamed that I'm a lawyer at this point, what I'm trying to say is that what moved me to read law is that as a politician, I should understand the rules. I should understand the rules of the game.
Yeah.
But today, we see law being turned upside down. And it is an embarrassment for those of us who are lawyers. Because we see a situation where an impression is created, and when there's a judgment, instead of execute the judgment, everybody waiting and looking at the body language of the government in power.
Okay.
And that impression is created that when it comes to the judiciary, it's already settled. That judgment is now written for them. It is an embarrassment to the legal profession.
Is it just a Nigerian issue? Looking at the judiciary, maybe in other climes, would you say that the Nigerian judicial system has to take notes from any other country?
The truth of the matter is that what is happening in Nigeria is un-Nigerian.
Oh.
Because before now, I've tried to research, to go back to history, to find out whether there was any time this kind of judgments took place. I can't find them.
All right.
I can't find them. So we have a leadership that we have never seen in Nigeria before. We have a leadership that has no respect for the rule of law. We have a leadership that sees judges as pawns, people that can be used, told what to do. It is an embarrassment. But one thing I must tell you, my instinct tells me that for a nation of over 240 million, they won't get away with it.
All right. Now, in the midst of this melee, there are a few people who are calling for the resignation of the president, especially against the backdrop of the promise he made while he was coming on board, that if he does not, as a way of campaigning with the light situation, if he does not give us light by any means possible, when he comes for a second tenure, we should not vote for him. He said that. It's on tape. And then the fact that as a NEDECO official, he was very succinct in calling for the resignation of
President
Goodluck Jonathan at that time. And comparatively, people are saying that the situation at that time appears to be a lot better than what we have now. And so people calling for him to resign now. How is it appropriate? Is it practicable?
Well, there's no option in the Constitution for somebody to resign in this country.
All right.
Because if you want somebody to leave office, you either impeach the person or the person dies in office. There's no provision. So calling him to resign, there's no pathway.
So you're saying it's impossible to call for a resign, knowing that the situation of the country is not, palatable with the citizens.
You see, in some climes, just like in the UK, if the situation gets so bad and you can't handle it, they just own up on their own.
They voluntarily.
But in Africa, even when you see president being escorted
with a
walking stick, he still wants to cling to power. I think that is peculiar to Africa. I'm not expecting him to resign. I wouldn't expect him to, because I see their responses that they are this, they are. People make a lot. See, I called a friend of mine yesterday, interestingly. He's of APC. He's campaigning for the City Boys. I asked him, I said, son, I'm disappointed that you chose this path to follow. He told me that even what he's doing is ashamed. But when you see his publications and all his defense, you think that, because at a point in time, I didn't think he grew through me, he learned anything from me. So I had to call him. I listened to him. I said, I'm a banker. Although you left the banking sector, but I don't expect you to reason like this.
To be this down for.
He said, bros, are the shame, even as at the campaign.
So why? Is it because of stomach infrastructure?
Stomach. It can't be anything else.
So that means that young Nigerians are changing their values just to impress the government, and perhaps is that what's going on now?
I can tell you, that the persons who are doing that are the few privileged ones. I'll give you an example. When the governor of the state left PDP for APC, I was on a platform like this in Abuja, and I was asked, what's your opinion? I said, I'm surprised that someone can leave a well-garnished and furnished state-of-the-art house and move to an uncompleted building.
That was how you described it?
Yes, in Abuja, in the early, I think in the early part of this year.
This year.
But you see, the truth of the matter is that, have they moved? Some moved with their bodies, but left their hearts behind.
Their hearts are behind.
And I tell you, those who truly moved are those who are not on the payroll. I've discussed with some of them. Some of the persons pushing me to run are APC, PDP. They are not in my party. But they know where James Akburero will stand when it comes to fighting for the people. That I will always side the interest of the people. Even when they were moving from APC to PDP, some called me to say, they are moving, I don't want to move. I'm calling you, what do I do? Because I know where you will stand. I've chosen that even if I'd rather stay poor, I'd rather have an account.
That's integrity.
That is empty than move to a place where my heart and my body is not there. Because I know that whether you like it or not, there's a God in heaven. And there's a time.
He rules in the affairs of men.
I'm telling you, that there's going to be a time when those men who have integrity, they'll be looking for them.
Absolutely.
All right. While you were talking, there's something you mentioned that is very important to our discourse today. You said people don't leave office in Nigeria. Okay, there's no way in Constitution where resignation is applicable, except by either death or impeachment.
Yes.
Now, you say you have followed our politics over the years. How do you assess our usage of the impeachment clause in our political process?
That one is a difficult path to follow. Because you see, we've discovered that those who go into politics don't have the interest of the people at heart.
Okay.
It's transactional. When election cycle comes, they carry money and share. They buy people's conscience. They deliberately keep us hungry so that when it gets to election time, if they give us...
we're ready for handouts.
Yes. That's the situation. So by the time they finish the handout, they don't pick your calls again till another 4 years. It takes another 4 years. When I used to campaign, I would tell them, you see my phone, this number, it won't change in the next 25 years. In fact, I took my current number in 2003 when I was a senior legislative in the National Assembly. That's when I took that number. It has not changed. And even when I worked in the Sopadec, when I was corporate affairs, when people felt I was comfortable, I didn't give my phone to any PA. I took all my calls. And when they gave us official car, I didn't sit at the back. I sat with the driver. What was I trying to do? I was trying to tell them, I'm still your home boy. I'm still that village boy. You can reach me. Okada riders, they come. When I go for weekends, I make starch, I make fresh fish. All of us sit down on the table. I say, eat first before we'll discuss your problem. And it's on record that those little things have grown. Some are big boys today.
But do you know that many will not call you a politician when you do that?
Yes.
They say you don't get level.
That is the truth. But the point is, what is level? I was just telling a friend of mine. Yesterday was Sunday, isn't it? I was just telling a friend of mine, wait, what is there to achieve in life? I have 3 kids. The first one is a human resource expert in Canada. The second one is a lawyer. The third one just became a chartered accountant. He works for First Bank. What am I looking for? For me, I'm a fulfilled man. Every other thing, Najara.
All right. Just like Peter Obi, they say does not give shishi. I'm sure you won't be popular with our electorate. We have been with a man who is very eloquent on the issues of the politics of this nation, talking about Barrister James Akburero. We'll continue discussing with him when we come back. Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives. You are still watching Morning Dew on Dott Television. And of course, we have been with a guest in the studio talking about the political situation in the country in the person of Barrister James Akporeru. We want to advance from here. Governors, after they have served their due, of course, we notice that most of the time when the governor wins election, it's like 8 years are guaranteed. When they still finish, we see them still bringing out the drums and then, of course, exciting us that they want to go to the Senate. Is the Senate a retirement home for governors in our democracy?
That is what it seems. Because sometimes I just wonder, after 8 years, one would have expected that they would have developed other leaders and tell them, please, you now go.
And further what we have done.
Yes, because I don't understand. You know, in other climes, I remember Obama's vice president was in the Senate for a very long time. But there, you can't do contract as a senator. And what you earn is minimal. You will know that, yes, they are going there because they want to serve the country. And the argument that, governors, they have experience, so they will bring their experience to bear is not true. If you listen to senators speak, you'll be wondering if they have time for research. But we need a vibrant Senate. We need one that can put the president on his toes. But the one now we have is on your mandate we stand. I've read a bit of political science because my elder brother who is in Belgium read political science in Uniben. And even as a younger student, I was piffering, I was reading his books.
Yeah.
You know, there's separation of powers. The essence of separation of powers is to ensure that there's balance.
Great balance.
Where the senators who are supposed to have oversight duties over the president is now saying, on your mandate we stand. And the Senate president will say, we your children. I don't get it. We now say the Tinubu's wife is their mother and they are their children. When senators have become children, what are they going to debate? It simply means that what they are going to debate, what the solutions should be, what the answers should be, must have been distributed as handouts before they sit. But that cannot take Nigeria anywhere.
Okay, now talking about this, we've seen it's a pattern now. Because I'm sure that if we take some time more, you'll find that some state governors are prepping for the Senate or the House of Reps.
Sure.
So would you say that there's something about the Nigerian legislature that makes it attractive? What essentially are they going there for? If they're not going there to impact the lives of Nigerians, what is the attraction?
Just like you said, a retirement place. That's what it is. When they go there, the first thing that will greet them is a 170, 180
allowances
vehicle. And allowances that are not less than 30 million every month. That's what we hit them. And they will also have access to organizations. If they happen to be chairman of the committee, they are going to have organizations under them. They are going to have privileged opportunity to put their children in different places. A senator is powerful.
Okay.
And a senator in Nigeria, I'm sure, is one of the most powerful senators anywhere in the world. Because when you deliberately supervise poverty and you come and visit your house, only your house has lights in the whole street. You come with big cars that people can only imagine in their dreams or watch in their own videos. What would they do? They come cap in hand, begging. And so you turn them any direction you want. Only very few of us, because we have prepared. I told somebody, what do you do? I said, I'm a publisher, I'm a writer, I'm an architect, I'm a lawyer, I'm an actor. So tell me how I don't go see food chop. It's not possible. It's not possible because I'm prepared. So if you are telling me that I must do this, I'll say, no, I must not do this.
It's against my will.
And you see, for you to get me to do something, you need to convince me.
Yeah.
Because I'm critical. I'm not just a followership. If you tell me, sir, what do you think about looking at it from this direction?
Yeah.
But how many Nigerians can do that?
Okay, so the Nigerian senator is perhaps, or reps member even, is perhaps a very big man, even internationally. How do we begin to retrace, given the situation in our country? We know that the average Nigerian is crying. So is it realistic even to have our senators and those representing us, even the president, as powerful as they are, given the realities of being a Nigerian today?
You see, the truth of the matter is that our people are not enlightened.
Okay.
And that's why I'm not too happy with the timetable of INEC, to abridge it, to make it very difficult for opposition parties to be able to voice it out and all that. I remember when I ran for Senate in 2010, primaries against James Manager and some other contestants, I spent 2 years going from one community to another in Delta South. I visited the 8th legislative arm. I spoke with all the councillors in the 8 local governments. I took boats, I chartered boats, I went to Brutu. I went everywhere and I sat with them and I spoke to them. And I knew that the establishment was very uncomfortable. They made advances, they made promises, make you commissioner. I said, go and tell the governor that I'm the best man for the job. Mm-hmm. And that if I was going to get only my vote and that of my wife, I was going to run. But the point I'm trying to say is that when they make it so difficult, we keep moving from one party to another. Yeah. By the time we eventually arrive at the party, there will be no time to enlighten Nigerians.
Okay.
Nigerians have the power to change any government. If we have 500,000 Nigerians moving towards Aso Rock will give way. But what time do we have to mobilize them? If INEC has joined in making sure that they close the space.
Okay, looking forward to future elections in the country. So, would you want this trend to continue, or what do you think that Nigerians can do to change this trend of, past governors going for the Senate seats and so on?
Well, as per legal issues, they have a right to go for Senate. So I'm not sure that one is going to change very soon. Okay. But we have a right to vote them out. I'm aware that there's a governor who has been in the Senate before, and after the Senate, he became governor, he wants to go back. I don't know what he forgot there. But I think the people have the power
to say no.
All they need to see, let me tell you, my arithmetic is very simple. 70 to 80% of Nigerians are hungry. So if you're an aspirant and you are aligned with the hungry Nigerians, you can take over power. Okay. Because sometimes we tell them, the money they are distributing is yours.
It's your money.
Collect the money. And when you are voting, vote for your conscience. That's all we're saying. I tell you, what other reason will you give for a government that has over 30-something governors trying to even deregister parties? I thought they were so popular. I thought they were so powerful.
Yeah.
And they even have INEC as another party, making it an additional party. Yet they still don't want others to run against them. That is because the people are ready. And they are ready to take power in 2027. I'm very sure that Nigerians will not disappoint us.
Yes, there's this dimension of the matter.
Yes, sir.
As a governor, by law, you have immunity. So it's being said that the reason why they hanker after the Senate is for immunity to continue. You even see some of them who have been governors, now in the Senate, and then while they are ending their tenure, thinking that their future for contest is bleak, they cross carpet to another party. Now, all these rat race, permit me to say, is it to ensure that all that they've done as governors is covered? Could it be?
And the truth of the matter is that a senator does not really, an average senator, if you're not a Senate president, you don't enjoy immunity. That's the truth.
Okay.
But the point is, when they move to the party in power, you must have heard that popular statement that once you cross over, your sins are forgiven.
Your sins are forgiven.
So the moment they join the winning party, as it were, their legal issues will be delayed. Some will not be discussed. Because I can't imagine a former governor who the EFCC went strongly after, that he transferred money from the governors, from the state's account to pay his son's school fees. in dollars. That same one is contesting for Senate today. Nigeria is the only country in the world where that kind of thing can happen.
Yeah.
In fact, what is happening is unexplainable. But I think Nigerians have a choice.
Very explainable. So, looking at these trends now, so do you think this is sending the right message to young Nigerians aspiring to become, or to go into the political affairs of the country?
Well, it is not, because some names have been reoccurring for 40 years.
For years.
So when are they? Where is the tomorrow? Because a students' union leader in University of Nigeria, I won my first union election in 1986. I think the first meeting we had, they were telling us we're leaders of tomorrow. But those ones whose name were loud in 1980s, they are still in government. So when is going to be? When is that future going to come? I tell people, I say posterity is around the corner, but you need to reach out to grab it. Don't wait for them. They won't give it to you. Go out there and take it yourself.
Especially now we see situations of, fathers sponsoring their children as a way of replacing them in politics.
You see, I don't understand. The in-law is running for office. The daughter is running for office. He himself is running for office.
It has now become a family affair. Something.
You see, the point, those I blame are those who follow them.
Okay.
Because for me, you can win your elections, but I'll go back with my conscience knowing that I didn't support you. Even till now, my friends are saying there was one time APC offered me some money some 10 years ago that they will finance me. They know PDP will not give me the ticket. Yes, PDP didn't give me the ticket, but I went back and did other things with my life. But I'm not going to be part of those who will stand in the wrong side of history. I know what I want to be remembered for. And those are the things I will do until I exit planet Earth.
Does a hungry man have time to think about his conscience?
You see, it depends on who that hungry man is. Sure, you know that poverty has a spiritual dimension. So it can be poverty of the pocket and poverty of the mind. We need to distinguish that. There are some people, they have 10 million in their account, but they are still poor. Because they have told themselves that 10 million is going to get finished. Let me protect it, and they eventually will get poor. But there's this man who does not even have 50,000. He's telling you that I will be CEO of First Bank. That man is a different grade of poverty. He's going through a phase that he will eventually come. But the other one, even if you give him 100 million, he will still go back to the gutters and become poor. So if you're talking about a hungry man, it depends on how hungry. Is he hungry for greatness or is he hungry for today? If you are hungry for today, that you will eat, they will give you 20 or 30,000 and you will not eat again for another 4 years, then it is stupidity. It's not hunger.
It's stupid poverty.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, having the same faces in power and, not really achieving great results over the years, do you think it is ideal for political parties to, sponsor fresh faces so we don't have this recycling thing?
The problem with political parties is that some of them are transactional. That's the challenge. That's the challenge. If we have political parties that can give opportunities, it took me time before I left the main party for the opposition. But what I know now, if I had left it then, there's a possibility that I would have won a general election. I ran a general election against an incumbent with no resources, 0 resources, and he couldn't defeat me in the first ballot. But if I had realized earlier, when I was sticking to that major party, that a general election will expose the weakness of the major parties, I would have done that. Because you can't bribe everybody in a general election.
That's right.
You don't even know who the voters are. So it must be your antecedent. And me, in 2002, I started sharing exercise books to children in schools. In fact, anytime I wanted to do a birthday, I would just use 3-4 million, print exercise book, and share to students in the 2 local governments. That was my way of giving back, to say thank you, Lord, for another year. You understand? So the issue is not political parties creating opportunities for them. It's for young people to wake up.
To aspire.
They need to wake up. That's the challenge. Sometimes when I was growing up, and my son, the one who's a chartered accountant, something happened and they looked at me in my eyes. and spoke with me. Do you know, instead of getting offended, I was proud. I said, yes, he's a man now. Because I used to stand up to my father. And I did the same thing. So when I saw my son stand up to me, spit it in my face,
you received it.
I said, sure, I now have a son who is becoming a man. Okay. And that's how I want to exist. I want to exist living men who have the capacity to stand up for what they believe in.
All right, so much on this conversation. You just want to leave a word, because what we are seeing is a situation where the same names have kept reoccurring, either in themselves or in their genealogy.
Yes, sir.
One word for the rest of us, Nigerians, as we advance towards 2027.
Election.
What I want to tell Nigerians is that change can come if you believe that it is possible. Every great achievement in life starts in believing. The Bible is very clear that from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. And whether you like it or not, we were created in the likeness of God. In fact, the Bible says, ye are gods. So my belief is that if we have that creative ability like God, we can create the desired future. We can sit and say, this is what I want to be. I have a friend, we've been friends for 48 years. He said, James, you know that you're a lawyer, you're an architect. You said it when we were young. I used to tell them that I came from a humble beginning, teacher, father, teacher, mother. So I wanted a future where I have complicated qualifications. So when I apply for a job, there will be nobody to compete with me. And there's no child in Nigeria that cannot do that. All you need to do is aspire. Set your goal and pursue it with determination and dedication. And with commitment, you will be there before you know it. Christ once said, if you walk towards a wall and you don't stop, the wall will give way. And that's what I'm telling Nigerians. Rise up, and Nigeria will be that place for your dream.
Well, so much on the discussion concerning the state of our nation. We have been with a man who is glib, a man who is passionate about the tomorrow of Nigeria, talking about Barrister James Akporero. Thank you for coming to our studios. He has said a lot of things, but to end it up, he said, every Nigerian, no matter your status, no matter your calling, no matter your creed, should aspire, set goals for yourself, develop yourself, be somebody, so that you are not bought, you are not swayed by every wind of doctrine. That's how we want to end it on this discussion. Thank you for coming. And of course, I appreciate you, my people, Success and Ify. We'll go on a short break. We'll be back again to continue with Morning Dew. Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives.
Dott Entertainment, your weekly dose of pure fun, airing every Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Saturdays, 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. only on Dott TV.
We impose extra burden on the masses. I feel your pain.
Only humility will lead us to unity, and unity will lead us to peace.
Go to the market and sell their products.
From Harrison, that is a massive world record. Martinelli goes, boys, out of his goal. Martinelli, this will be 3 for
We impose extra burden on the masses. I feel your pain.
Only humility will lead us to unity, and unity will lead us to peace.
Go to the market and sell their products.
Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives. Welcome back, and I will always thank you for staying with us. Our conversation recently just ended on the youth. How can we have new faces in our politics? How can the young ones grow into the stead of the older ones? And so that informs our next guest in the studio. We want to have a conversation on the involvement of the youth in politics. And we're in the studio with Ambassador Michael Odogu, who incidentally is the SA to the governor on youth empowerment.
Development, yes.
Of course, he's a businessman, a consultant, he's an estate manager, and of course, a politician. We're glad to see a young man like you.
Thank you, sir. My pleasure.
Yeah.
It's so good to be with you all this morning. Thank you so much for having me on the Dott television.
I would also like to
Morning to you.
to thank the ladies for being with me in the studio.
It's
Success and Ify.
Good to have you this morning.
Thank you so much, Success.
We want to discuss, like we just introduced, on youth involvement in politics.
Yes, sir.
Now, over the years and growing up, we hear the same names. We don't want to mention them, but the same names keep cropping up in our politics, whether at the national, state, or local government levels. And the cry is that the youth should step up their game. Of course, we tout them always as the leaders of tomorrow. Now, we want to come to you as a person, as a politician.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. How do you assess the level of involvement of our youth in our politics?
Thank you very much, sir. It's still my pleasure to be here this morning. So straight to the point, I would say it's a process.
Okay.
So on June 12th, 2026, we marked our 27 years of Nigeria's return to democracy. And we hosted a colloquium, a roundtable where we got a lot of young persons.
When you say we, who do you mean?
Okay, myself and some other stakeholders.
Okay.
But I was the anchor.
That's in your office?
Yes, I was the anchor. So we decided to get a lot of young persons from Delta, and we had some persons that joined us virtually too. So our discourse was around the involvement of young people. 27 years after, what has young people really been involved in decision making, policy making, in politics, and in governance? And there were a whole lot of opinions from young people, and we could see the disconnect or the disenfranchisement, or rather the wrong feelings of young people, that they have not really been part
of a decision, because we've seen a lot of policies that have been made before now that didn't really have young people in consideration. Now, how would you be making a youth policy or policies that has to involve young people, and young people will not be in the committee? Then we had another group of persons that said there were actually young persons that have been in these committees, but they became sellouts. They even referred to NSAS 2020 and a whole lot of projects that will involve young people. But at the end of the day, those young people don't speak for young people. They now speak for themselves. But at the end of the day, we had a communique and we said, yes, we're going to make more noise. We're going to create more awareness. We need to go back and tell young people that you can be part of the system, not just criticizing the system, but you can play a role. And I emphasize and I let them know about what we're doing in Delta. And that is why someone like me is in government, because the government of His Excellency, Right Honorable Sheriff Oborevwori, has recognized the fact that we need young people to play this role. If you look at most of the commissioners, we look at key policy players, they're young people. Okay. We have a lot of young persons in government. I'm not even the youngest, even though I'm one of the youngest, but I'm not the youngest in government. When he came in 2023, that was a policy for the first time ever in Delta State. So they said we're going to give appointment slots to young persons. Okay. You know, there was some objections in some quarters. Some persons didn't want it because they felt that what's the experience that they're taking in, forgetting that you need to be there for you to garner the experience. You understand? And he reminded them of how he started his journey. Barely at our age, he started as an essay to the governor, coincidentally as an essay to governor on youth development under the administration of His Excellency James on an FA Bori. That was where he started his journey. And it has been a journey for him. So why don't you allow them? And you can see a lot of us, and that has helped in terms of peace. You know, because when young people are there, you know, even the feeling, like when I communicate with my people over there in the town, they just have that hope. If he can be there, maybe one day we'll be there. You understand? So it comes to the pillar of opportunities for all under the more agenda. You understand? Giving young people that right that they have a place in government. So we give the Delta example to them, and we believe that if other governors and other leaders could actually adopt it, doesn't mean that we don't have loopholes, although we're going to come there. It doesn't mean that there are not still loopholes in the system, even though I'm a politician. But I'll still first speak for the young people, which the constituency I represent. But it's a process, like I said, 27 years of our democracy, but we're getting there. So the Delta example, yes.
So this brings us to this question.
Yes.
So
yes.
There is this not too young to lead or not too young to run.
Yes.
Has it significantly increased youth representation in elective offices?
Okay, very well. You know, so the not too young to Run Act was garnered by some young persons led by the guy we call Samson Itodo. He's the founder of Younger Africa. So he came with some other group of young persons and pushed that act. The act was signed under the administration of His Excellency late Muhammadu Buhari, where we saw that the House of Representative ages were dropped. The senatorial ages, you know, you talked about elective positions, were dropped. An opportunity, a lot of young persons came into the system. And even before the act, we've had the forum where we had a speaker that was about 34 or 35 years, Dimenji Bankole, yes, years old. And, you know, before politics happened, you know, he was doing very well. But I choose to say politics happened to him. But he represented us there, and it was a thing of pride. People like me, I was quite young then. I never knew I would be a key player, but it was a motivation towards that. It is possible. So far, the not too young to lead act, yes, is in implementation, but there's some faults, which I'm going to talk about later, which has kind of disenfranchised young people, which we see the electoral system or rather contesting elections in Nigeria is very expensive.
So
and which young people don't have.
Would you want to say political parties has not created enough grounds or opportunities for the young people to contest for elective positions? Okay,
very well. Let me talk about my party a little. I know many young persons, I don't know how they will feel, but let me just talk about my party, the APC, because, you know, this past elections that we had, there was a waiver, 50% that was given to young persons and women, and almost free for people living with disabilities. I don't know about other political parties. So young persons that wanted to contest had 50%, but waiver for them. And we have a wing in the party. We have the youth directorate. is headed by the national youth leader. And I think most political parties do have that, to protect the interest of young people in political parties. So I think it's just awareness of young persons. I contested, I ran an election, I ran for councillor. That was where my journey started from. I ran, and that sets me up for where we are today. So one of the challenges I think of the Not Too Young to Lead Act is the fact that awareness from young people, one, then secondly, the fear, the apathy, and thirdly, the cost of running elections, in Nigeria.
Now, when you talk about waiver,
yes, sir.
Waiver, they gave a waiver.
Yes, sir.
Now, we know that, like you said, money is the challenge.
Yes, sir.
Because majority of our electorate are waiting for handouts during elections.
Yes, sir.
Now, when you say waiver, does it mean the party has accepted to fund the electioneering of any candidate, a youth that wants to contest?
Okay, when I talk
waiver
about
include funding.
Okay, for funding comes after you become a candidate of the party.
Okay.
So when we talk about waiver is when you're purchasing your nomination of interest form, expression of interest, and your nomination form. So, for example, if the form is supposed to be 5 million, they're telling young persons that you can pay 2 million.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes,
not that. Yes, so it's discounted. They subsidized the form. So when the party takes hold of the election for everybody is when you now become the candidate of the party.
Okay.
So the party fully begins to fund your Then with some other persons, key players and stakeholders will come together to fund you as a candidate, yes.
Okay. Now, talking about youth involvement in political processes,
yes.
The older generation will usually say that young people are usually, there's this unrest.
Yes.
When young people come out, that they cannot control them, the strength, the power. That also says something about the preparedness of young people to actually take these positions.
Yes.
So what can you say about youth development for political inclusion? Yes, what are the processes? What's going on in Delta? Because it seems from what you've told us that Delta is somewhat ahead.
Yes. Okay, so for youth development, 70%, like I said, when we started, I talked about making of a policy, involving young people in making of a policy. Currently, I'll come back to your question. So we're planning the Delta Investment Summit, which is coming up very soon. And a good number of young persons are on that committee.
Okay.
You understand? We just had the Delta Security Summit. We had a whole lot of young persons that was headed by our performing secretary to the state government, Dr. Kingsley Emu. A lot of young persons were accommodated in the committee. Yes, in the planning committee towards that.
Okay.
You understand? So when we talk about youth development, first, I think it's not just young people. I've always been the advocate because I don't want to say we have emergency leaders, but some of us had never really had an experience of leadership before we get into politics. And I feel that we should have an academy. I'm advocating for that. Although there are trainings that politicians go to or leaders do or go to. But let's step it up. There's the National Institute of Strategic Studies at Kuru, Jos. I think that kind of an academy should, either we have more campuses of it or it should just be boosted. So when people take leadership positions, we should look at, building their capacity more around it. Not just them coming. Yes, you will have advisors, like His Excellency have advisors and people that speak to him. But at the same time, you pass through this academy for you to know more. The academy informs you of the political and leadership realities. Some of us have the mindset of the 90s now, which is not obtainable.
No.
Let's talk about the 2023 elections. We were very active on the social media then. You understand? And some of our older persons, when they said, forget it, the social media, there's no polling units, that was the word on the social media. But we saw what happened from galvanizing support. Before you knew, we saw a whole lot of young people. Where were they meeting? What was their meeting point? TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. That was where they were mobilizing themselves. Twitter, and before we know, we saw what we had. So things have taken a new dimension. So we leaders, we need to submit ourselves to learn more, to blend with the times and season. Then for young people, like I always say, we will not grab power. That's a wrong and that is misconception, because sometimes when I engage them, you hear them saying they should get out, let young people come and take over. And this, I said,
appeal to the military.
Yeah, or some will say, let the military come back.
No.
We're tired. I'm not saying that I'm enjoying or we're totally okay with all of the government decisions.
Yes.
Even America, America's democracy will be 250 years, July 4th. They'll be celebrating 250 years. But we've seen a whole lot of challenges still, bewildering them as a country. So it's a process, and we young people now, we've not, generally, apart from politics and governance, this generation, we're not too patient to follow process.
I want to bring you back to the question that I
okay.
asked about how to develop young people to be able to blend into the system and make it better.
Yeah.
And you talked about perhaps an academy.
Yes.
But in the advanced economies that you've mentioned,
yes.
we don't quite see those institutes or leadership. It's not really prioritized even there. I was thinking that you should even tell us a bit about what's going on with maybe involving youth in community development, internship opportunities that are possible through your office. What is possible before these are the low-hanging fruits.
So what's possible through our office?
Yes.
Basically, we have a ministry that supervises the activities of youth development and empowerment in Delta State. That's Delta State Ministry of Youth Development. But I am an ambassador. My basic work is to get these policies out there to young people like me, let them know what is going on, partner with the ministry. It's not in my purview to establish an academy, but because I'm exposed to some level and I'm passionate, I'm able to partner with organizations. Like I told you of the colloquium we had June 12th. That program was held in partnership. I got some persons together to be able to pull that storm. But that is basically my program. We have the Department of Youth Mentoring and Monitoring.
We're getting closer
yes,
to it now.
in the Ministry of Youth Development. But some of the times, one of the challenges we have is, will I say, the awareness. Most of us young people, we don't really know that we have to train. So yes, we do have that department, you understand, in Delta. But it's more, I think we should have more of the private sectors and all that coming to partner with us, because government might not be able to do, even though it has to do with leadership. Like I do tell them, like the young people I work with, I tell them, study corporate governance. I am studying corporate governance. There are things we can learn from the corporate world and bring them in. And all over the world, like you rightly said, government is not perfect at running establishments and institutions. So that is why there's what we call PPP. There's always the public-private partnerships to be able to get some of these things done. So we'll not totally rely on the government, and it should come in as a curriculum. We have the John Kennedy School of Government. We have the Harvard School of Government. Many of them attend it. I've done an online course, and I hope to be there someday. I know I'm going to be there to have one of these experiences. So you can't take away the part of training. And when I talk of training, I'm talking of real training and also mindset reorientation. You understand? It is possible. Yes, you can't have it perfect, but it's a process. You understand? And again, as young people, like you rightly said, you need to begin to serve. You need to begin to function. As I leave this studio now, I'm heading to my community. There's something that God has used me to attract to the community. I'll be going there to look at it. It is not as an essay to the governor. It is just because of my passion for community service. And I've been able to do some things in the past for the community. I can mention and you come and verify.
Right?
I don't want to say all right. I'm not quoted. So they should have the mindset that they can serve.
We are still on this conversation on youth involvement in politics, and we are with somebody who is on the saddle on that matter, talking about Ambassador Michael Odogu, who is the SA to the state governor on youth empowerment. Conversation will continue when we come back. Stay with us. Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives. Yes, you're welcome back. It's a hot conversation. Whenever it has to do with the youth, it's always very passionate. And we have a young man who is in the studio very vocal, very passionate about what he's doing. We want to come from this angle.
Yes, sir.
We have National Youth Council existing everywhere. We also have youth bodies of communities. We also have youth bodies of political parties.
Yes.
How does your office relate with these various youth groups as a point of mobilization into politics?
Okay, so I'm basically going to be speaking on the Delta State Ministry of Youth Development.
Okay.
You know, the Delta State Ministry, like I said earlier, supervises all youth association and organization. So basically, if you're a youth organization in Delta State, you should know that you have to come and identify by the means of registration with the Delta State Ministry of Youth Development. The idea for this was to make sure that every group or youth group is carried along during government programs, you know, during empowerment. So we have the data and we say, okay, this is the number of organizations we have. The National Youth Council, I won't want to talk too much about it. I'll just talk basically because I'm not their representative. But the National Youth Council of Nigeria is domiciled and they have some kind of funding from the Ministry of Youth Development. That is how it's run all over the whole state.
Okay.
Yes, all over the states of the Federation. So the Ministry of Youth Development works closely with the National Youth Council of Nigeria. Then also for community youth, like I said, some communities youth have not registered. They are not yet organized. One of the things I did when I became the SA to the governor was, you know, there were some crises and conflicts in our community for almost 14 years. We didn't have a stable youth community organization body. So myself, along some other major stakeholders in our community, we sat together and we came up with a model. And by the special grace of God, it's going to 2 years now. We've been able to inaugurate. We did an election that, you know, it was right. My commissioner then, the Commissioner for Youth, Honorable Barrister Tangot, came to see what we did and inaugurated the Youth Council. And quickly, immediately after that, we made sure we registered. I made sure that we registered the youth body. And today we are registered, my community youth organizations. So I'm also using the opportunity to tell other communities it is possible if your community youth organization or community youth has not been registered, because there is always a slot for them when we have those programs. They're always being invited. Like the Security Summit, they're invited. The Investment Summit that is coming, so that at least they'll be hearing. They are the representatives of the youth down there in their communities. So far we're trying, except you're not recognized by the ministry, but the Ministry of Youth Development, Delta State Ministry of Youth Development, always reaches out.
Isn't it possible to have an umbrella body for the Community Youth Association such that they have also an office, just like the National Youth Council of Nigeria at the Ministry of Youth Development? That way, whoever is in charge now regulates. You don't need to overstress yourself.
This is a wonderful suggestion. So I'm going to personally bring it up and let's look at how the possibility. Although I'm aware, like my local government, we have Oshimili North. I'm from Oshimili North local government area. We have a body that is in charge of all the community youth president. They have a chairman.
Awesome.
So you are very correct. I think this we'll look at that and see how we can make it easier for the community youth.
Yes.
Which was working before the previous administration, but we'll make it better now.
And sustainable.
And sustainable.
If they have a constitution, that means every other organization or rather administration that comes in already knows that there is a framework.
Nobody will,
will
that kill it off.
Whatever they have at the National Youth Council can be replicated at the state level.
At the community, having community youth. You know, we also had what we heard with the Delta Youth Parliament.
Awesome.
And we're hoping that soon too it will be inaugurated. So you're right. We'll look at that resuscitation of that. Idea.
Having said all this that your portfolio is doing, and has done, you know, it's an encouragement for the youth. So, how can young people get involved in politics without, involving in violence or being used as a political talk? And also, what are the policies to be put in place to, bring about youth development?
Thank you very much. Thank you for this question. So how do we get involved in politics? Being on social media and ranting is still part of it. You know, you can't take away social media from young people now, even when they are going to have their bets and they say, let me go and do my video when I'm having. So everything is on content for them. So I will never tell young people not to be on social media. But if you're just on the social media, you're on the fence. In Nigeria, we have a political party system. So have you joined a political party? Even if you're doing community service, like you rightly suggested and said, like sometimes, even in my community, there are some persons who have looked into and we say, these guys have potentials, but are they part of any political party? No. So have you joined a political party as a young person out there? I don't want to tell you the party to join, but that is the basics first. Join a political party, get registered, get seen, start attending political meetings, start mobilizing quietly, not with violence. And again, I want to say something to young people. So you see how our leaders at the top, how they relate, right? So don't get enemies because they don't belong to your political party. It's just like me wearing suits or putting and you loving t-shirts. And because I don't love suits, I now begin to criticize suits. We're all the same clothes. So you understand, sir? All the parties, we're all political parties. So the political parties are vehicles to the destination that we want to go to. I know a lot of friends I lost because I joined politics. You understand? So their mindset and their orientation about politics is that once you've joined politics, you become a bad person. But I just told the story of how I'm making a change in my own little community. And that is counting. That is change. I mustn't first become the president of Nigeria before I make a change. So join a political party, be active, be seen. This electoral season that we're going into now, it's not just coming to rant on social media and be angry. What role have you joined a political party? And after you've joined a political party, your voter's card, do you have a voter's card? With all these rants, many young people that are up to 18 are not even registered. And that is where the population is. Over 70% of voters, eligible voters, are young people.
Let me write on Ife's question.
Yes, sir.
These our young people.
Yes, sir.
They often are, whether knowingly or unknowingly, they become tools in the hand of politicians.
Okay, sir.
And you have just pointed out, which is good to emphasize,
yes, sir,
that those political actors at their level,
yes,
they relate,
yes,
they are friends,
yes,
even though they belong to different parties.
Yes.
But their followers, who are the youth, they want to kill themselves, they want to fight, they want to shoot. Now, how much of this preachment do you do when you gather youths to educate them on politics?
Basically, that is my first department, community service and politics. And I've always tried, every medium, just like I'm here, every medium I have, I always tell them, you don't need to fight. You don't need to be a wrong tool. You can be a good tool. Like I'm here, I'm projecting, governance, I'm projecting, it's a tool, I'm being a tool. So you mustn't wait for you to be used. And I think that era is even gone right now because people have become so aware. So political positions are now fiercely being merited and contested. I'm not still saying that they are not on position in sometimes, but there are more of merit, like what we saw in these past primary elections. Some persons that, that weren't really qualified, you saw people crying out, we don't want this person. This is who we want. That's the beauty of democracy. Democracy is choice. That's what we told young people when we had that colloquium on the 12th. So don't get angry with me because we don't have the same choice, and we are humans. We've seen when some leaders come out and apologize. I say, I'm sorry that we gave you this person. We believed in him and we allowed him to serve. But when he came, he disappointed. You understand? That's the beauty of democracy. You can say, okay, we've given you 4 years. You've not proved yourself. Come back. Let's send someone else to go there. Like we saw some things that happened in our legislative arm of election campaign, contest. Some legislators, their scorecards were poor, and their people said, you're not going back. We've not seen your representation. So that should spur you young persons not to see it. It's not the do or die. And it does not mean that because I'm not supporting your candidate, I'm not in your political party, that I'm your enemy. Be wise. Be wise. There is collaboration at the top. Forget about some of the things you see on TV. It's not exactly how it is. Like I said before when I started, a political party is a vehicle.
What you just said, it's instructive.
Yes.
And I just hope that every young person who's listening
Yes.
will actually see that it's not about now. Really.
Yes.
And it's not just about us.
Yes.
It's also about impact.
Impact, yes.
Yes, and how that people are able to collaborate
Yes.
across party lines.
Yes.
To be able to deliver good
Governance, yes.
Yes, because we're looking at young people now leading
Yes.
the way into the future.
Yes.
So I think you can touch more on where we are headed as a country.
Okay.
If the young people finally decide to take the lead, collaborating across party lines, where are we headed? What's the picture of Nigeria that you see if that can happen?
Beautiful. Young people collaborating, to get somewhere. Beautiful. That's the only way. And when I talk about collaboration, I'm not talking about just becoming. In the part of collaboration, there is service.
Yeah.
So you must be seen. That's one of the things I was told when I ran my election, because I was just coming in to the system. I've been doing community service, but I've not been recognized.
Yeah.
I've not properly joined my then party. So that was one of the things that made them to hold on there. We need to see you more so that we can trust you with the responsibility. I'm not saying it's the same all time, but get involved. Let's have more young persons joining political parties. Let's have more young persons speaking. Let's have more young persons studying the budget. Let's have more young persons learning government policies, programs. They're all out there for you to see. For example, you want to see what the government has done. You want to see the budget. You can go to the Delta State Ministry of Economic Planning, and you will see the budget, what the government has done. So not when they say the governor has just done this, you just be spreading the rumors around.
You are sure
you
it's
understand?
not an official secret that if somebody walks in there that they will access
Well,
the document?
the budget is a public document.
Awesome.
It's not a secret. You understand? And also, if you're on the media, engage like the Delta State government. We have a media channel where with Delta State government on Facebook and our Delta State government on Instagram. Every government activities, what His Excellency Right Honorable Sheriff Eboriwori has done is being posted there. And it's because of the younger population. The governor is on TikTok too.
Yeah.
Yes, we have the governor on TikTok. Yes.
So, looking forward to elections in the country.
Yes.
So, what major role do you think young Nigerians need to do or play to shape Nigeria's democracy and to, reduce unemployment?
Okay, reduce, that's the word. You can never really end unemployment.
That's right.
It's not going to be possible. And one thing that's happened to us is the geometric progression of our population. Standing right now, Nigeria's population, I think we're nearing almost 350 million. And so it's unfortunate we've not been able to have a standard census. Yeah. But whenever I'm always looking forward to the NBS, National Bureau of Statistics, what they release. It helps us to calculate. And it's an aspect of tech too that I'm trying to progress, data analytics, because it helps us too when we're doing our analysis to be able to say, this is it. The population
as well.
And planning, it's very important for planning. So we can't end unemployment, like still what I'm emphasizing on. Let us get involved. Nobody is going to beat you because you've joined a political party.
Oh, yes.
Nobody is going to. Yes, politics sometimes, we have our other sides of it, but get involved in the right way. You understand?
You're here as the SA to the governor.
Yes, sir.
On youth empowerment.
Youth development, yes.
Now, we want to give you
Is it
opportunity.
youth development?
Yes,
to empower?
development.
Youth development.
No wonder you thought it was
Yes,
empowerment.
yes,
Maybe I have so
yes,
much
yes,
on it.
okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we thought it was empowerment. And
Yes,
that
it's
was
all
what my
the
question
same.
was coming.
Development is empowerment.
But as it were, any which way,
yes, sir.
you're just dovetail.
Yes, sir.
What is the government of Right Honorable Sheriff Eboriwori doing to strengthen the youths? Let's not use empower.
Yes.
Because, like you see, most of the time it's easy to mobilize them to the benefit of detractors, democratic detractors, because they are hungry.
Yes.
Now, what are we doing to empower them, to get them involved, to get things doing?
Come on. Okay, away from governance right now.
Yes.
Because that is the first part. That is why I emphasized on it. Because some of us are privileged to give reports, to tell the governor what we think young people need. Because we're in government. If you're not in government, you won't have that easy privilege. It's not that you cannot write. We operate an open door system. Like I said, if there's something you want to complain about, you can get it and submit at the Ministry of Economic Planning. So for young people, His Excellency Right Honorable Sheriff is creating a lot of pathways. Some persons will say he's doing infrastructures and all that. But if you check, most of the infrastructures he's still doing, young people are being engaged there.
Okay.
Yes, if you look at some of these projects, I'm coming step by step. If you look at some of those projects that are going on, it's young people that are there. Last year we had the TEF. Earlier this year we had the Tertiary Entrepreneurship Program, TEP, from our ministry, where we empowered some young persons in our various schools, in Delta-owned universities that are doing business. We gave them some soft grants for their business. Last year, we had the ICT year being implemented by the Delta State Ministry of Science and Tech, and we're looking forward to another edition of it where young persons were trained on various tech skills and pathways and also empowered to set up theirs. Then we had the More Biz Up from the Delta State Job Creation Office, which saw us give grants to so many young persons that, because it's mostly young people that are beneficiaries that are in business, the state government stepped up and trained them and give them grants. And there are a lot of other partnerships. I could begin to say a lot of things that the governor is doing. And like he always tells us, he will do more. We believe strongly that the government, yes, that's a more agenda.
More agenda.
Yes, he's going to do more. And now we're looking at stepping up the security because it's part of the enhanced peace and security. That is the E in the more agenda. And who are going to be key players in it? Still the youth and the young people. So we're looking forward to His Excellency doing more for young people. So far, I can say, yes, we're on the process. So we will get there. So youth, please, let's continue to support the more agenda. The governor has us in mind and he is showing it, and we will see more results. Yes.
All right, viewer, thank you for staying with us all this while. We are in a conversation with a youth of Delta State who is glib and passionate about youth involvement in politics. He has said a lot of things, especially from the point of view of his office, that he has hosted a colloquium where youth were invited, gathered together to speak to them on the role they can play in shaping the future of Nigerian politics. And he has told them to be patient with the government. Government is doing a lot, and more will come to ensure that they are integrated, not only in the development process, but also in the political process. That's how we want to thank Ambassador Michael Odogu, who is essay to the governor on youth development, for coming to the studio.
My pleasure, sir. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much, Success. Thank you so much.
You see, we didn't talk about, you came to advertise your government. At the back, when we're off camera, we'll tell you how much you're getting.
I am so sorry.
For this advert. All right.
That's fine.
Forgive me.
It tells a lot how what the government
is
doing right
is
now.
advert for the government. We are going to pay Dott TV for this advert. Well, we'll go on a break. When we come back, we'll begin to wind down on the program for this month. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives.
Dott Entertainment, your weekly dose of pure fun. Airing every Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Saturdays, 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. Only on Dott TV.
Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives. Welcome back, and thank you for allowing us to walk you through this morning with our package. We have been talking about the issues in the nation through the headlines in the papers, and of course we brought you news updates. Then from there we brought you up to speed with the flight schedule. Flights going out and coming into Delta State via the different airlines. Of course, we refresh your memory with the quotes of the day, and we have had two guests who came to speak on the state of the nation. First, political, and the second one is what we are doing to engage the youth, to involve them in the political process. And of course, I've been here with Success Benjamin and Ife Arono. Yeah, how has it been this morning?
Well, it's been a ride, a jolly one at that. We've had the opportunity to go from what's going on politically.
Yeah.
And in all that we talked about, from the analysis with Mr. Godfrey Obaka and Barrister James Ororo, who joined us, it appears that we still have hope, because we still have Nigerians who have integrity, who will speak up when push comes to shove.
Yeah.
People who have been keeping quiet will come out and put their feet down say the right thing has to be done. So we are close to that point where our people, the advocates, because now we don't quite hear from them, but I feel that soon enough we'll begin to hear hard stances ahead of 2027 election, because the date is fast approaching. We have just about 6 months away from that point where Nigerians will have to decide again.
Yeah.
Yes, and talking about the youth development conversation that we had, we saw that young people in Delta State are somewhat ahead of their peers in other states. So a lot needs to be learned from the Delta State system on how that youths are getting more involved with the political system and how they are being absorbed, and possibly how they can redefine how politics works in Nigeria. The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, Success. I saw you're very passionate when we're talking about the youth and, of course, how they can be instrument to shape our political future. Yeah.
Yes, because it is very important having our youth, involved in our political system, because we've, number of times have this hold faces recycling in governance. So bringing in the youth, we need a change. We need a change in governance, and also to see how we can reshape Nigeria's democracy, and also, bringing about development programs and all of that. I want to commend the Delta State governor for doing more, for involving the youth more in the political system of the state, and that's a kudos to him.
All right, kudos to the Delta State government for involving. Actually, when you look at the base of appointment, most of our commissioners in the state are young people, and that tells of the fact that he was also an essay to a governor. The present governor was an essay to a governor.
He rose through
youth.
the ranks.
Yeah, so
he
now knew that the youth, they have something to contribute. We are hoping that, if he said, other states in the nation will copy the blueprint of Delta State and want to encourage the Delta State government to keep doing what they are doing. That should do it for Morning Dew this morning.
And before it does it, one last thing,
Yes.
the men folks should remember to eat healthy.
Eat
Okay.
healthy.
Okay.
So that women will not have to suffer a lot.
Okay, yes. That's a very serious high point of our talk today.
Healthy lifestyle.
We have been made to realize that the issue of infertility, men are contributing a larger chunk of the percentage.
Absolutely.
Yes, it's good to drum it home because most men don't know. Please, let's stay safe, avoid hard drugs, things that will pollute your system, anything that is toxic, junk food, and of course, where you work, be sensitive to electromagnetic waves. Am I a scientist?
Yes, let's go back to our organic food. Very important.
All right, thank you. Success. Thank you for being there. I'm blessed in the midst of women.
Thank you so
EP,
much
thank you.
for joining us today.
Well, viewer, we thank you so much for staying with us all this while. Keep watching Dott Television. We have a lot package for your information and entertainment. Bye for now. Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives.